The fund steps in to cover necessity household expenses when illness or injury takes an over-the-road semi-truck driver off the road. They also provide free health and wellness programs for drivers. You can learn more about the St. Christopher Fund or donate today at truckersfund.org. Sponsored by St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund.
WWTN, Hendersonville, Nashville.
From the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studio, Super Talk 99.7.
WTN.
Good morning. It's now 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Cloudy today and occasional light rain for this morning. Breezy, too, and a high of 81 degrees. In the news, President Trump had some very sharp words last night ahead of the planned U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, which starts at 9 o'clock this morning Central Time.
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody, and Iran's in very bad shape.
He was speaking to reporters upon landing at Andrews Air Force Base, returning to D.C. from a weekend at the so-called Southern White House at Mar-a-Lago. U.S. Central Command announced that all maritime traffic would be stopped in the strait, no matter the point of origin. The plan involves choking Iran financially to agree to U.S. demands to give up their nuclear program. Other news that it's all over now for Eric Swalwell. The Democrat senator is suspending his campaign for governor after 4 staffers accused him of sexual misconduct, and one of them, a former aide, who claimed that he raped her twice while she was too drunk to fight him off.
Since the allegations came out Friday afternoon, Swalwell lost major endorsements and donors, culminating in this post he wrote on Sunday evening, quote, "I am suspending my campaign for governor. To my family, staff, friends, and supporters, I am deeply sorry for mistakes in judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious, false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not a campaign's." Some internal polling before the allegations came out showed Swalwell voters ranked Democrat Katie Porter as their second favorite. In a statement, she urged them to coalesce behind her, while Republican Steve Hilton urged them to choose him.
This entire Democrat machine in California, it is collapsing into corruption and sleaze and scandal and chaos. And that is why we are going to kick them out this year.
That's Eitan Wallace at KTLA. A movement in Congress, too, to remove Swalwell has gained momentum over the weekend. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Investors will be parsing the words of several Federal Reserve governors who will speak this week for clues as to the future direction of interest rates, especially amid new inflationary headwinds. Big banks and financial institutions set to kick off earnings season. This week, we'll get first quarter earnings from Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, BlackRock, and Bank of America, among others. Also this week on Monday, a read on existing home sales. Tuesday's release of the March PPI will keep inflation in the spotlight. A report on crude oil inventories on Wednesday. On Thursday, weekly jobless claims and the closely watched Philadelphia Federal Reserve Manufacturing Index. That's going to give investors a read on the health of the American manufacturing sector.
And we've got Dow futures right now at down 256 points. NASDAQ falling 166. S&P futures are down 41. Oil this morning pushing above $100 a barrel, sitting right now at $104.56 a barrel. That's the latest news. Your traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. All right, something you got to plan around this morning. They're doing road work on 24 westbound this morning between Almaville Road and Sam Ridley Parkway, the westbound lanes of 24 down to one lane of traffic. It is slow going this morning. I'm not sure when they're going to pick up that those construction zone cones. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to your Monday, April 13th. Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
I got a great joke. Okay. I'm going to open up the radio broadcast with a great joke.
Well, okay, I think we should be the determinants of whether this is a good joke or not.
So, Joan, Eric Swalwell is in the news, and it seems like Eric Swalwell isn't doing so well.
He's not, Dan.
That's my joke. I actually
doing well. Is that was the joke?
That was the joke. Actually,
Thank you.
You know what? So the best part of this whole thing, Sam is the one that told me that joke, and he's throwing down the cricket sound effects. Come on.
He was roasting you. He was hoping you'd use it.
It's all about the delivery.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Anyway, all right, very good. Looks like Strait of Hormuz is going to be blocked, so we are blocking the blocking of the Strait of Hormuz. That's basically what we're doing. I think this is a chess match. I think this is Donald Trump telling Iran, okay, you know what? If you think that you're going to be the arbiters of who is going to use the Strait of Hormuz, well, think again. The president coming out over the weekend and saying, you know what? No, Iran, you're not going to block the Strait of Hormuz. We are going to block it. This is, by the way, a big FU to China. Everybody knows that, right? Because Iran, as we've been talking about, Iran and some of their allies and some of their friends have been able to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. And so Iran has been selling oil at actually a pretty good price, because they're the only ones, essentially, that have been allowed to use the Strait of Hormuz because they mined the thing. And so now Donald Trump says, okay, so beginning at 9 o'clock our time, so beginning of Chris Hand's show, we're going to block it. And so now the question is, and I can't wait to see this, what is Iran going to do? Is Iran going to challenge us? Are they going to challenge our warships? And are they going to essentially say, okay, Donald Trump, we dare you to sink our ships? I could just see Donald Trump saying, go ahead, make my day. So all of this has been going on. I have some audio here, actually some video, if I could. We all know what happened. I know everybody watches the news here, so just do a little bit of catch up. We know that J.D. Vance, he flies all the way to Pakistan, 21 hours of negotiation, only for the Iranians to say, nope, no peace deal for you.
We've been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
21 hours of negotiations. Iran refused to back off on their mission for nuclear weapons. Do you know what I think part of what this does is it proves that Iran clearly is not interested in negotiating a deal or abandoning their nuclear weapons program. You know, we could have saved some time and just said, you know what, clearly we know where Iran stands, and so we're just going to go ahead and start blocking the Strait of Hormuz now, as in like 48, 72 hours ago, because it's clear Trump had, okay, so if these negotiations don't work, then what we're going to do is our next step will be block the Strait of Hormuz. However, the problem is that we essentially gave them, I mean, how long have we been screwing around with this? I mean, we started the discussion of having these negotiations, I don't know, I mean, it was in Pakistan, I think it was, days ago. So as they get ever so closer to being able to produce a nuclear weapon, we've wasted, 48, 72 hours, whatever it's been, whole bunch of days. And the longer that this takes, the closer they get, in my estimation, to being able to manufacture a nuclear weapon. They've broken, and I want you to think about this. Do you believe that hey, Sam, let's do a Daily Dan poll, shall we? Do you believe, yes or no, that Iran has been negotiating in good faith? Yes or no? I would say it's a no. They've broken, first of all, we spoke about this last week. They've broken the ceasefire multiple times in multiple ways. The Hormuz Strait was supposed to be open. It isn't. And they fired at our neighboring countries when they weren't supposed to. So realize the only thing that this ceasefire has done, thus far anyway, is to allow Iran more time to work on their nuclear program, if that is indeed what they are doing. J.D. Vance was asked if President Trump was kept in the loop during the 21 hours of negotiations.
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Bessent a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal.
And that simple proposal is for Iran to abandon their nuclear program. Now, when the talks failed, the President Trump, pulled out a very lengthy Truth Social post. And it's a long post. And I'm going to read it, the entire thing. So there you have it. President Trump said, the meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not agreed to. Effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. At some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis. But Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying, there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody really knows about but them. And he appropriately says this is world extortion. There was a great side note. There's a great article in the BBC earlier today about how Iran does need to stop extorting the world, because that is essentially what they're doing. Back to President Trump. This is world extortion, and leaders of countries, especially the United States of America, will never be extorted. He says, I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We will also begin destroying the mines the Iranians laid in the straits. He says, any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell, is what Donald Trump says. And by the way, just it's worth noting the words blown to hell, Joan, capital letters.
Of course.
And with an exclamation point. He goes on to say, Iran knows better than anyone how to end the situation, which has already devastated their country. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft and radar are useless. Khomeini and most of their leaders are dead, all because of their nuclear ambition. The blockade will begin shortly. Other countries will be involved with this blockade as well. Iran, he says, will not be allowed to profit off this illegal act of extortion. They want money, and more importantly, they want nuclear. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. President Donald J. Trump. That's a long post. I've seen him do longer, though, Joan. But that's a long post, but it was an important one. And I think that he knew. I think Trump knew. Don't you think that Trump knew that these negotiations were not going to go anywhere?
I do. And sending in J.D. Vance was spot on, the coolest thing to do, because they needed to know that there was unity in Washington, because so much has been spoken about J.D. Vance, not being on the side of going into Iran in the first place. So, I mean, the talk about President Trump doing 4D chess while everyone else is sort of just, playing checkers, it's so true. It's so true, and it's so obvious by what he's just done. This effort to block up the Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, that's designed to choke Iran financially, but also to choke China financially. And
that's what I said, a big middle finger to China.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love it.
Perfectly said. Yeah, so, I mean, he's got the world on his fingertips right now. Let's just hope it stays that way.
And don't forget, J.D. Vance was Iran's guy. They wanted J.D. Vance.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's that aspect of it as well. So this is going to be really interesting. And yeah, why should Iran? By the way, I've got General Richard Newton later on today. He's going to be with us at 7:06. Congressman Andy Ogles is going to be. I cannot wait. Do you know what question number one is for Andy Ogles, who's going to be here at 7:35 in studio?
Does he love Eric Swalwell, and is he going to miss him?
How do you? Yeah, are you going to? I mean, this is a dumb question to ask Andy Ogles, but do you think that he'll vote to boot Eric Swalwell from Congress?
I think he'll be the one to bring it up.
Oh, you think it's like
he likes to make a scene?
It's like, good morning, Congressman Ogles, and he'll just bypass the good morning and go right to how Swalwell ain't doing well. Do you think I should use my joke? Do you think I should use my borrowed Sam's joke on Andy Ogles?
Absolutely. We love when you tell jokes.
Congressman?
Dan.
I hear Eric Swalwell ain't doing well. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. It is 5:16:17. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Well, not clear if they've picked up the construction zone on 24 westbound, but earlier today it had been out there. It's on 24 westbound in the Smyrna area while they're doing road work. It was down to one lane at one point. I'm not seeing any delays at this point, so they may have picked it all up this morning. Things are looking good on 40 and on 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Couple of showers this morning, otherwise breezy, not as warm, intervals of cloud and sun. High around 80 degrees. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, over the weekend, Trump ordered a couple of Navy destroyers to sail right through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran didn't fire on them. They encountered no mines as well. I'm thinking about how do we avoid those mines? And basically, Trump brought up a great point in his big long truth social, which is, how do we know that they've actually dropped some mines in there? Like, they keep talking about it, but, I mean, our radar doesn't know where they are. We can't figure out, where they are. We can't send in, divers or whatever. It seems to me like what they need to do, and I'll ask General Newton this question, but go into the Strait of Hormuz, and I don't know how long it is. It's pretty narrow, but go down, figure out where the mines are, and destroy the ones that you can destroy, and they just clear a path. You don't have to clear the entire Strait of Hormuz. Just clear a path so that the ships can get through, and then just start widening out the clearage from there. Right? I mean, I'll ask the expert. I'll ask Richard Newton this question coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, but I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Plus, also, our ships will no doubt be fired upon. So that's another thing that our men and women in uniform, our Navy, will have to deal with. But, I mean, I love that Donald Trump and Joan just hit the nail on the head. 3-day, three-wave, what is it? 3-dimensional chess, 4-dimensional chess, whatever it is?
4-dimensional chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
There you go. That's what it is. Here is more from President Trump talking about, this is President Trump talking about what's next. This was last night.
Oh, I don't know. I don't care if they come back or not. If they don't come back, I'm fine. Their military is gone. Their missiles are largely depleted. The manufacturing capability for missiles and drones is largely defeated. We've been very nice. We haven't ripped down too many bridges. We did one only because they broke their word. They broke their promise. And remember, their promise was that they were going to open the
Hormuz Strait, and obviously, as we know, they didn't. So you've had Iran selling this oil on the open market, getting good money for it because they've been controlling the strait. So they've been making bank. The Iranians have. They, of course, have been selling to China. Other countries friendly to Iran have been moving oil again through the Strait of Hormuz. They include Pakistan, the Philippines, Iraq, a Turkish ship as well, apparently. So all of that is going to end today, beginning at 9 o'clock our time. The president has been talking about how America is open for business and that countries have been coming now to America to get their oil. This has been going on since, really in earnest, I guess, last Friday. Where this became a big topic of conversation. That is obviously great for us. Now, the question is, do we have enough oil to make up for what is being lost? Well, that's a big no. We don't. Will it make a dent? Absolutely. That's a good thing. Is it good for America that all of these nations are coming to our United States of America to get their oil? It is great for us. Does it mean that the price of our gasoline is going to go down? Probably not, because we are, again, the cost of our gas depends on what is happening on the global market. And Joan, if I may, where are we at on what do the oil futures look like? Do you happen to have that up?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
West Texas crude right now is trading at 104.29 a barrel. So it's up nearly 8%.
Right.
It'll take me a second here to get, what's the other one? It's too early on a Monday. I need more coffee.
It's not it's not Brent crude.
It is Brent.
It is Brent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brent crude oil is trading at 102.20 right now.
So both are over 100.
Yep.
Okay. CENTCOM, by the way, said the U.S. will not, so Trump comes out and he does what he's going to do, right? He says what he's going to do. CENTCOM then comes out and says, well, hold on. The U.S. will not impede vessels transiting the strait to and from non-Iranian ports. So if they're not going to Iranian ports, then apparently we'll, I guess, let them through. The blockade will only be enforced against vessels entering or departing Iranian ports or coastal areas, including all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. So coming up, I've got some great audio. President Trump basically telling Iran, you go ahead and you try to stop us. That great audio is coming up next. It is 5:23. Joan's got the news coming up at 5:30. Joan.
So we'll tell you the story of how a Waymo car, one of those driverless cars, got stuck this weekend because of a pedal tavern. Those things really do get in the way, don't they? It's coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
528, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, Joan, how you can look at past what people who text in, you can look at their past text messages with others. So I just found one, and somebody's talking to somebody else about yours truly. I'm gonna talk about that coming up at 5:35.
They're always kind of fun to look at. They're little gems.
Well, they are. It's kind of funny. You think, okay, so what would prompt that comment? Do you know what I mean? So I've got one that I saw correspondence with another host about me, and that is coming up at 5:35. Real quick, Donald Trump talking about Iran and Iran trying to stop us from blocking the Strait of Hormuz. This is what the president said.
158 ships are gone. Their Navy's gone. Most of their mine droppers are gone. We have a lot of people, as you know, at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have a blockade going into effect. That'll be 10 o'clock tomorrow. Other nations are working so that Iran will not be able to sell oil. And that would be very effective. But what we want to do is we want to, and again, we don't need it. What we notice and what we see and what I think is maybe my idea, maybe not, I don't know. But there are many boats heading toward our country to fill up with oil and then go and take it. So they're not going to go through the Hormuz Strait. In the meantime, they're using us. We have more oil because of drill, baby, drill. We have more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together.
So there you go. That is Donald Trump and part of what he said regarding Iran. Can I just say, like, I want to be very delicate when talking about what the Pope has to say about all of this. Because I understand, I'm not Catholic.
Yeah, neither am I. Neither are any of us here.
But, I mean, you know what? His comments about illegal immigration, his comments about what we're doing on the geopolitical world stage shouldn't be of his concern. I mean, man lives behind walls, and he doesn't live like the rest of us. He doesn't necessarily have to deal with the same dangers that we do. And I'm sorry, but I'm not, am I wrong for marking myself safe from giving a crap about what the Pope has to say?
No, I think his opinion is better suited to tell us what the Chicago White Sox should do in the offseason. Because he's a big Sox fan.
Oh, is he a big Sox fan?
Yeah.
Figures. The team that sucks in Chicago, the White Sox, as opposed to the Cubs. 5:31 on WTN.
Good morning, and now 5:31. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories and spotty showers this morning. We may have clouds throughout our day today and our high reaching about 81 degrees. In the news, U.S. talks with Iran falling apart over Iran's insistence that it keep its nuclear ambitions alive.
There's no way that they're going to they still want it, and they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump speaking with reporters as he returned to Washington last night. A blockade on the Strait of Hormuz begins in just under 5 hours. It's the first weekend of Waymo driverless cars being unleashed on Nashville. And there were 4 incidents of cars being stuck and holding up traffic. Fox 17 reports that in one case, a pedal tavern appears to have confused the automatic vehicle.
Here, you could see a Waymo car stopped in the middle of the 100 block of Demumbrian Street. A Waymo representative says after we contacted them, they reviewed that footage from inside the driverless car. They say that vehicle got stuck or stopped after trying to navigate around a pedal tavern. The car turned wide and then stopped, almost appearing to be facing oncoming traffic. The rep said the Waymo then sensed a large bus further down the road, adding to the confusion. The Waymo car was stopped for several minutes, people honking their horns before it then continued on. There were no passengers inside that car.
Waymo insists that safety is the company's top priority. Clarksville teacher Matthew Vetter has resigned after being sidelined in another non-teaching job for weeks. News 2's Peyton Kennedy says he's being investigated by the school and the TBI.
He's accused of displaying an inappropriate photo on his personal device while showing an appropriate photo to a student back in March. Vetter is married to current CMCSS Director of Schools, Dr. Jean Luna Vetter.
The school says that Vetter's resignation won't have any effect on the investigation. It's still ongoing. That's the latest news. Stick around for traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, it looks like the construction zone on 24 is now picked up. It was in the Smyrna area earlier this morning, stopping some of us from driving to work without any problems. We have some delays as well on 40 this morning as it merges with 24, and no big delays this morning coming in from the north. 65 looks really good. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
537 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Happy Monday to you. Welcome on into an April 13th. A couple of showers this morning, otherwise breezy, not as warm. Intervals of clouds and sun, and a high around 80 degrees. All right, so number one, Just real quickly, Joan, we were talking about seeing past text messages where you are being referenced by other by texters to other hosts and so forth. So I want to know what they were talking about on the air when 4702 sent a message to, I guess, to Bell.
Okay.
Saying, y'all got to come up with a song to dedicate to Dan Mandis, LOL. I want to know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, why do I get a song dedicated to me? Chad and Bell, whatever. I love them. I'm just kidding. I don't care. Let's see here. 4702 also says, hey, Dan, there's a great presidential quote for your daily Dan polls and your daily Dan jokes. Don't. Thank you, 4702.
Don't.
All right, so real quick, Eric Swalwell. Now, I didn't realize, Joan, but did you know that there is video out there, and I'm showing it here. I apologize to those who are eating breakfast right now. But Eric Swalwell, if you haven't seen the news, the congressman is now decided he will not be running for governor. He's dropped out of the race for California's governor because of all of these allegations against him. Sexual allegations of rape, those kinds of things, unwanted pictures, if you know what I mean. I think part of what has me baffled by all of this is the fact that he's so blatant about it. Like, no shame whatsoever. He's not even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Allegedly, he's sending pictures.
Yeah.
To women, like more than one, of things that, you shouldn't be sending pictures of, so forth. But there's also all across the internet, right? There is a picture of Eric Swalwell, and it's not a picture, it's a video, and I'm showing it on Super Talk TV, where he's got some sort of a, young woman.
Adult.
She's a sex worker.
How do we know she's a sex worker?
She has OnlyFans.
Oh, is that what it is? She has an OnlyFans?
Something to that effect, yeah.
So I have some observations about this.
Anyway, so
Poor technique, Joan.
Well, she's sort of like turning her head away a little bit, and then he like brings her face over and, gives her a big old smooch. The other thing I love, and then I'll let you talk, Joan, because, you're going to have better thoughts on this than me. But he's got his shirt, buttoned down to like mid-sternum.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, and I of course am king of the undershirts. So I don't like men who do that, but whatever.
Well, especially if they're smooth like a baby's bottom right there. It's kind of awkward.
So anyway, so that is, and again, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, supposedly this is a sex worker, and he is just, but here's the thing.
Prostitute.
You're being taped. You're being videoed, dude. So you're a married congressman, and you're in the room apparently with at least two other people, a sex worker or prostitute, and whoever the other person is, who's filming it.
And there's a guy sitting on the other side of this young lady on the same bed.
Okay, so that was my observation. Yeah. Like, they've got an audience. What are they doing? Are they filming a sex tape? I mean, it's so gross. The man is married, and he's doing all this, Me Too movement, women, believe them.
You're right, Joan. There is I didn't even notice that, but there is a right knee and a couple of hands holding a phone to the left of said
the person
female.
And there's somebody who's obviously filming. So there's at least two other people there.
In this hotel room.
In a hotel room. I mean, he is the creepiest of creep.
I've got a question. Who was the guy? Who was the guy who was he in a wheelchair? But he was a congressman out of, I think, one of the Carolinas. And he talked about how there were cocaine-fueled orgies.
Yes.
Was it Madison Cawthorn?
It was Madison Cawthorn.
Madison Cawthorn. So I wonder if Madison Cawthorn is somewhere, because he was drummed out of Congress.
Yes, he was.
For saying that. I wonder if Madison Cawthorn is around somewhere saying, I told you.
Yeah.
This is stuff that's going on. Now, I don't know if he was on, drugs or anything, but, clearly Eric Swalwell, he didn't care. Who knows what he's doing? And this is a married congressman. So this is the same kind of chutzpah that led him to, have his thing with, is it Fang Fang?
Yeah.
Fang squared? So.
Oh, my gosh. The clips that are cycling out are just hilarious. 2024, Swalwell was on Kimmel talking about the consequences for women and their bodies if Trump wins the election.
Was he really?
Yeah, I've got it.
Go ahead.
The consequences for everyone else, like women in their bodies, kids in their safety at school, seniors in their health care, like to him, it's me, me, me. Democrats, sometimes we stand too much on virtue and like modesty, and we think everything is a Harvard Law School moot court competition.
Oh my God.
But we just need to talk about this like it's a gut check to the regular folks and not make this so complicated. Just be real.
You say a lot of nasty things about you on Fox News. I mean, they're your parents. Doesn't that upset them and make them go, I see that what they're saying is not true. I shouldn't believe anything else they say.
My mom told me recently that when she would hear Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity go after me, she would change the channel. She's like, I don't like that, honey. That I think they went too far. So, yeah, thanks, Mom.
Wow.
Your mom should have told you to keep your hands to yourself and your pants buttoned, unless you're with your wife. By the way, he's been married for like over 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the other part of this, of course, is that, and I mean, obviously, I don't think America necessarily cares about, I mean, they elected Donald Trump. And let's be honest, Donald Trump is no bastion of virtue, okay? So let's just say it. But for Eric Swalwell, what makes this so, I don't want to say gratifying or satisfying that he is going down in just a blaze of non-glory, is that he's such a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Sam and I used more colorful language in the hallway, and I think Joan and I did, or at least I did to Joan, where, he's always been such an A-hat. You know what I mean?
Pompous A-hat.
A pompous A-hat. And so I'm sorry, but you know what? I mean, clearly I don't feel sorry for him. He didn't seem to care whether or not he went down politically or not. So, anyway.
I don't know if you've heard the audio, but the CNN interviewed anonymously the former staffer.
I have the audio, so let me do this. Let me first play the audio of Eric Swalwell when he came out and he said, yeah, there's no truth to these allegations. Flying in the face, by the way, of all of the video that's out there.
A lot has been said about me today through anonymous allegations, and I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will
So he says they've never happened, but the video is right there.
fight them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the front-runner candidate for governor in California. I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I have certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past, but those mistakes are between me and my wife. And to her, I apologize deeply for putting her in this position.
So apparently, I mean, obviously it sounds like he is at least admitting that he cheated on his wife. And now, again, that's a personal matter. These days, again, most folks don't necessarily seem to care about that, but it does matter politically to a lot of folks. But here's the other thing about the other allegations. One woman says that she worked in his office for 2 years, and she says that he took advantage of her when she was drunk and that he raped her. She described it as non-consensual because she was drunk, and that was back in 2019. And apparently she has the proof on that. Let's see here. Okay, so do you have that audio, Sam? I thought that I had the audio, but oh wait, I think I do. It might be right here. Hold on. Yeah, this does not look good for Eric Swalwell. And yeah, here it is. So this is the woman. This is the woman who is accusing Eric Swalwell And there's some obvious questions here, which we'll get into following the audio. Joan, have you heard this audio?
No, I haven't.
All right, I want you to listen close to this audio. Okay, this is the woman who claims that Eric Swalwell got her drunk and then took advantage of her, not once, but twice.
I decided to ask him to meet me for a drink. And I did this because I was so far removed from what had happened in 2019. I felt safe because I was established. I had a partner. I felt more secure that I could have a strictly professional relationship with this person. After that.
All right, so she's talking about Eric Swalwell, and she had met with him originally in 2019. She worked in his office for 2 years. She says that he took advantage of her when she was drunk and that he raped her. She described it as non-consensual because she was drunk. That was back in 2019. Same woman. In 2024, they were having drinks again. She became drunk. She said no, and that he then forcibly raped her, and she says that she has the proof. So obviously the question is, okay, well, wait a minute. So if he raped you back in 2019 and then you met him again in 2024, and that's when she said, well, I thought that basically, and you just heard the audio, where she basically says, I thought that I could handle him.
After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom, and I don't remember anything after that.
You don't remember anything?
I remember the next day. I can see flashes of that evening, of him on top of me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive. It was aggressive.
Did you say no?
Yes, I said no. In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. And you woke up the next morning?
I woke up the next morning naked, alone in his hotel room.
So after that, you've got Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Hakeem Jeffries, and others on his side who are pressuring him to drop out. And again, the big question, and she answered it. Now, whether or not people accept that answer or not, if he did this in 2019, why did you meet him again in 2024 and go not to one, but two separate bars? But you know what? Bottom line is, he has now decided to drop out. By the way, it wasn't just this one woman. There was like 4 other women, roughly, I believe, that also came out.
Oh, there's more than that now.
Is there? So there's now more since I set
groups
this
of
up
women.
earlier this morning. How many are there?
Well, so the people were posting stuff. Apparently, almost 2 weeks ago, some women were starting to come out and say that they'd been harassed by Swalwell. No one had really alleged any assault.
Yeah.
But now there's a young woman who posted the other day. I've got the audio if you want it real quick. We can squeeze it in. Just her introing what is about to happen to this guy.
Go ahead.
People have questions about why I decided to make public comments about allegations of sexual harassment against Eric Swalwell before a major news outlet published the story. So let me be as clear and transparent about that as I safely can be. I am personally working with a group of women who want to come forward and share their stories. I am also aware of a much larger group that is also in this process that I am not personally working with. We have secured pro bono legal representation for them, and they are in the process of sharing their information with major outlets while ensuring that their legal and physical safety is protected.
Yeah. The whole clip goes on for another 2.5 minutes, but there's apparently going to be a whole lot more dropping.
Well, now they're talking about Joan bouncing him out of Congress. So, and this is the Democrats. Now, remember, there is a Republican guy by the name of Tony Gonzalez, a congressman, and he is out of, is it Texas or New Mexico? I think it's Texas.
Yeah, I think it's Texas.
And, he is facing his own accusations. And so both parties basically are saying, look, Tony Gonzalez, Eric Swalwell, both y'all got to go. And so now that's going to be, and that's a question I'm going to ask Andy Ogles at 7:30 when he's here in studio is, just basically what are your thoughts on all of this? By the way, some people are saying, as far as this woman meeting Eric Swalwell a second time, fool me once, what is it? Shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right. So what do you think about that, Joan? Like, people are calling BS on the story. I don't know. But he chose to drop out. So,
well, he did choose to drop out. And it's in my humble opinion, it's obvious that that's because he doesn't want more to come out. There's probably others out there. But the goal was achieved. So he's quitting.
Well, and clearly, I believe this is the Democrats that did this. Because, and I talked about this on Friday, the Democrats in the state of California, the governor's race, and I don't have time to get into all of this now, but they have that jungle primary. So if you have too many Democrats in a race, then what's going to happen is the top two contenders in the primary, they can be two Republicans, they can be two Democrats, or they can be a Republican and a Democrat. The problem is in California, for the Democrats, is you had so many Democrats running that the Democrat numbers, they just had so many different candidates that it was spread out amongst too many candidates. So the top two candidates in the primary in California were both Republican, because I think there's only two. There's that Steve, is it Hinton? Or Hilton, whatever.
Steve
Hilton, the former Fox broadcaster. He was leading the polls.
Yes.
And so they were crapping Twinkies. They were like, we've got too many of these Democrats in a race. We got to start sort of shedding some of these names. And they knew that these allegations against Swalwell were out there. And so their fear would be, we got Steve Hilton and we got Eric Swalwell. Those are going to be the two top candidates. Well, if all of these allegations come out heading into that general election at the end of the campaign for governor in California, then they're going to end up with a Republican governor, because, you're going to have a lot of people that won't vote for Swalwell based on all of these allegations. So they took him out.
Yes,
That's basically the Democrat Party took him out.
Who's the next Democrat?
You know what? I don't know.
I can tell you.
But go ahead.
It's our lovely Miss Katie Porter. Yeah. The one who throws.
She's crazy.
She's nuts. She's nuts. And so wouldn't it seem logical to you that it was her campaign that made sure that these videos got exposed, that these women came forward?
Maybe. That wouldn't surprise me, but I think Democrat leadership probably had something to do with it too. I think this was a concerted effort to take out Eric Swalwell. I think that people have recognized his BS on both sides of the aisle for a long time. And now, not only is his run for governor over, but he may be out of Congress if they decide to boot him out of Congress. I don't know if his marriage is over or not. We'll have to see what happens there. But Swalwell is not doing well.
You sure haven't heard anything from the wife? I mean, she's been very quiet.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Sam, have you heard of anything from I'm sure, very proud Mrs. Swalwell?
No. She was silent during the whole Fang thing as well.
Yeah.
All right, got to go. 5:56. Joan's got the news coming up at 6. Joan.
Yeah, we will have more on the Eric Swalwell dropping out of California governor's bid story is still to come here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And President Trump called it months ago. He said the U.S. economy would suffer for a period of time while he gets Iran and its nuclear ambitions under control.
With no deal reached between the U.S. and Iran and now a pending blockade of the critical Strait of Hormuz, there's mounting pressure on the Trump administration to figure out how to ease the stress on the U.S. economy. Last month, consumer prices surged at their fastest monthly pace since 2022. The gas index increased by 21%, the highest single month increase since records began in 1967.
That's ABC's Alex Prescia. Stock futures slumping this morning, and the price of oil is on the rise. Democrat Senator Eric Swalwell dropping out of the California governor's race.
With claims of sexual assault and misconduct against him and calls for him to resign from Congress and the California governor's race, Eric Swalwell announcing on X on Sunday night he is suspending his campaign for governor of California. He writes, quote, "To my family, friends, staff, and supporters, I am deeply sorry for mistakes and judgment I've made in my past." He goes on to write, "I will fight the serious, false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not my campaign's." Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com.
President Trump's threat of a blockade in the Persian Gulf sent Brent crude oil futures back over $100 a barrel. U.S. Central Command says the blockade will stop ships into and out of Iranian ports starting this morning. That move has sent stock futures lower overnight. On Friday, the Dow Jones surrendered 269 points to close at 47,916. The S&P went into the weekend with a slight loss, while gains for AI shares boosted the Nasdaq Composite by 0.33%. A major meat processing plant in Colorado has struck a new deal with its workers who went on strike last month. The new contract with JBS includes higher wages and protects employees from higher health care costs. We can send people around the moon. Why can't we create a lower-fat French fry? Researchers writing in the Journal of Food Science say they've done it, combining low-power microwaving of the potatoes before they're fried in oil. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And stock futures this morning, as I said, slumping. The Dow futures minus 238 right now. The Nasdaq futures, they're down 153, and the S&P futures are minus 40. Now, as far as oil goes, Brent crude oil is at $102.01 per barrel, and the check of the West Texas crude, it is now at $104 a barrel, and that's up almost 8%. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. All right, so we've got delays beginning now on 24 westbound, starting around the Smyrna area all the way in. Otherwise, this morning, the major roadways look okay. 65, no problems this morning, and 40 looks okay as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. And the clock is ticking towards 9 o'clock this morning when our blockade of Iran's blockade is going to happen on the Strait of Hormuz. We did a deep dive on that earlier in the program in the 5 o'clock hour. We will continue to revisit that topic. This is a very big deal for a lot of different reasons, including how it will impact China. We're going to talk about that straight ahead here on Super Talk 99.7. General Richard Newton will be joining us after the news at 7 o'clock. Great military perspective and really geopolitical perspective as well from General Richard Newton. That is coming up at 7. Congressman Andy Ogles will be joining us in studio at 7:35 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan, I heard you talk about the Waymo car. That there's 3, right? So I don't know
there
if
were 4 instances.
There were 4 instances. Now, just so people that don't know, a Waymo is basically a driverless Uber or a driverless taxi, right? So
there's nobody behind the wheel.
Autonomous. There's nobody behind the wheel, right? So it's autonomous. So here's what's really awkward for Waymo. Is that they just expanded big time. So it was, I think, just last week, they expanded Nashville, their biggest, latest expansion, so big that Alphabet or Google, who owns Waymo, had a 4% stock surge after they had their official expansion here in Music City. Now, remember, Waymo, they've been launched as this autonomous ride-hailing service. In other words, I guess, driverless. Now, right now, they operate in San Francisco, L.A., Phoenix, and Austin, and now Nashville. CNBC puts it this way. Waymo's expansion into Nashville is a meaningful operational milestone. Now, the fact that they make this out to be such a big deal makes what happened so awkward. Each new city requires regulatory approvals, mapping infrastructure, fleet deployment, and local partnerships. So a successful launch validates both the technology stack and the operational playbook Waymo has refined over the years of commercial service. Okay, so they officially launch here in Nashville. And by the way, they've been operating in Nashville apparently for a while. But now you say 4 different issues? 4 different issues have been reported so far where these driverless cars actually got stuck and stopped traffic. Now, one incident was reported back on April 9th at 1:30 in the 100 block of Demonbreun Street.
A Waymo representative says after we contacted them, they reviewed that footage from inside the driverless car. They say that vehicle got stuck or stopped after trying to navigate around a pedal tavern.
Now, thankfully, Joan, we don't have a lot of pedal taverns in Nashville, so I'm sure this won't happen again.
Oh, my goodness.
When you look at like the mapping infrastructure, the regulatory approvals and all of that, how do they not know how to navigate around a pedal tavern?
So, as you know, we talked about it off the air. I was in Nashville over the weekend, there on Saturday where it was like absolute chaos. There were so many people out there. But we're not just talking about pedal taverns, there's all the people who drive sort of the rickshaw kind of things where, you know, they've got 1 or 2 seats on the back where, you know, and then there's, of course, you got the scooters running around.
And the golf carts.
Golf carts. You've got people on rented bicycles. I mean, there's so many vehicles out there that can confuse these autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
And when that incident happened that you're talking about with the pedal tavern, the report that I had said that it turned away from the pedal tavern to avoid it. But then further down in the line of traffic was a big bus. So like a double-decker bus.
Right.
And that further confused it. So it wasn't really sure where it was supposed to go. So it just stopped.
And that
stopped.
The clip I saw, there was one trying to go down a one-way street.
The wrong way.
Yeah, it turned into a one-way street. And it couldn't go, and then it blocked traffic that was trying to exit that road.
And people don't know, right? But people are like honking at the thing.
Yeah.
Like it's going to do anything. So, I mean, this is going to be pretty bad.
Car turned wide and then stopped, almost appearing to be facing oncoming traffic. The rep said the Waymo then sensed a large bus further down the road, adding to the confusion. The Waymo car was stopped for several minutes, people honking their horns before it then continued on. There were no passengers inside that car.
You know, the great thing is, Joan, we don't have to make a lot of right turns in Nashville. They're all left-hand turns because of all the Democrats.
Yeah.
Totally kidding. Whatever. Anyway, so I guess there was a third, and you're saying now a fourth incident regarding these Waymo vehicles. You know, my question is, I would not want to get into a Waymo vehicle. Would you, Joan?
I would not, save my soul, get into a Waymo vehicle.
And Sam says no as well.
Well, only if they're going to have an issue if I put my concealed carry weapon in the seat with me in case I need to end the vehicle's movement.
What are you going to do? Like shoot the steering wheel?
Basically. I mean, they have cameras that'll watch you. So
right.
So I was watching a clip of a girl trying to slide around in the back seat, unseat belted, and a Waymo guy hopped on and goes, "Ma'am, I need you to put your seatbelt on for me, please."
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
By the way, Waymo representative sent Fox 17 a statement. You ready? Safety is our top priority at Waymo, both for the people who choose to ride with us and with whom we share the streets. We take reports like this seriously and are committed to improving road safety through our ongoing learnings and experiences. So, yeah, you could not get me to get into a Waymo to save my life. You know, you're lucky that it just stops. But what happens if the thing gets confused and starts, banging into other vehicles? Or just starts going really fast
What happens
down
if
a
someone
road?
hacks it?
What if somebody hacks it? Iranians are threatening us. North Korea?
I don't think North Korea is hacking much of anything.
They got a very significant hacking program.
But as far as getting all the way over here to Nashville,
I don't think they care about our Waymo
Yeah.
vehicles. But anyway, but you know what's amazing? And I hate to sound like an old guy, but Waymo apparently can't navigate around pedal taverns or navigate right turns, but we can go back to the moon.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time.
Yep.
From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
You watch that on Friday night. So I've got to go to traffic. But Joan, I'm going to throw the conspiracy theorists a nod here. Because I noticed something that I'm wondering if other people noticed as well about the coverage on Friday night where Artemis landed in the Pacific Ocean. And I noticed this and I thought, maybe the conspiracy theorists who are saying that, this flight beyond the moon to the dark side of the moon actually did not happen. Details straight ahead, 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as weather goes, a couple of showers this morning, otherwise breezy, not as warm with intervals of clouds and sun, a high around 80 degrees.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
All right, so Joan, did you and Sam, did either of you watch the long, arduous process of the splashdown of Artemis and then getting them from the capsule onto the little raft thing and then up the helicopter, then over to the ship?
No.
Yeah, it
took forever.
Such a long time. And I remember it taking long in the past, but this was like way too long.
So one thing I noticed is that it took a long time to get them from the space capsule, again, loaded onto that helicopter, back over to the ship, which I'm sure was a lot of fun considering like the toilet issues. Like, can you imagine they've been like holding it for all this time and man, just get me to the
Did
get
a
me to the
couple of
darn
them
ship.
jump in the water?
What?
Well, Fox just replayed the clip of the boat pulling up to the capsule. It looks like people were swimming.
Yeah, they had.
Oh, yeah.
So they had
probably.
I don't know why they were swimming in the ocean, but I mean,
themselves.
yeah, they had people on the raft. They had people inside the capsule. They had people swimming about, and they had helicopters above. But here's what I don't get. The pictures and the videos of the moon were incredibly clear. But you know, the pictures like right there in the middle of the ocean were terrible. Like, how does that happen? How do you have, if you are like all the way up on the moon, or like, you're not on the moon, but outside of the moon, like above the moon, whatever it is, moon adjacent. I got some video here, Sam. And the images, Joan, are absolutely crystal clear. But the ocean shots of them exiting the capsule, they're terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm showing it on Super Talk TV right now. They look terrible. They're not clear. And so, you know, for those people that are like, it never happened. It was a sound stage. One guy said to me on social media, Mandis, you're so gullible. Don't you know it never really happened? And I'm looking at this video, and I'm thinking, why is that video from like right here on Earth look so crappy when all of that video from way up in space near the moon is crystal clear?
I have an answer.
Well, I know what the answer is, but go ahead.
Well, they're using a digital zoom on a camera from a helicopter.
That's exactly right. They didn't want to use, so it was far away. So they had, I guess, a couple of different camera shots. They had one on a helicopter and I guess one on the ship. They didn't want to use a drone because the drone might interfere with
Radio
all
signals.
of the, they said a couple of things, radio signals. Also, they had, helicopters flying. But see, the helicopters are up. The drones would be down underneath the helicopter, but above the water. But, I mean, they didn't want to do it. Whatever. Okay. And NASA came out and they said, well, safety first. I understand that. But you're talking about something that is incredibly historic. And you couldn't get better shots than this? It was terrible.
Well, to be fair, in space, they had a Nikon D5 DSLR and a Nikon Z9 mirrorless. Those are two very high-end cameras.
And they already had them. Just use them on the ship or on the helicopter.
You got to get off. And
whatever.
Again, they're jumping in the ocean swimming, as we had mentioned with the potential plumbing problems. Right. They might have had other priorities.
No, they just, you know what? They should have had better cameras so that people could, really become engaged in getting them off of because that's why I kept obsessing over. It's like, I wish they had better cameras. I wish it was clear. But whatever, it is what it is. That's our taxpayer dollars, apparently hard at work. The important stuff worked, except for the toilet. Other than that, everything worked, and it was a great mission. Did you hear any of the commentary of the astronauts during this press conference that they had? I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, but really, really cool things that they said. This is Reed Weissman.
I have absolutely no idea what to say. This is 24 hours ago, the Earth was that big out the window and we were doing Mach 39, and here we are back at Ellington at home. No one knows what the families went through, man. This was not easy. Being 200,000 plus miles away from home, like before you launch, it feels like it's the greatest dream on Earth. Mm-hmm. And when you're out there, you just want to get back to your families and your friends. It's a special thing to be a human, and it's a special thing to be on planet Earth. Thank you.
Yeah, he's right about the families and what the families went through. I cannot imagine. But you know what? If you're the husband or the wife of one of these astronauts, you know that this is what they have been fighting for and training for their entire careers. This is Victor Glover.
I'm afraid to start talking. I have not processed what we just did, and I'm afraid to start even trying. When this started on April 3rd, I wanted to thank God in public, and I want to thank God again, because even bigger than my challenge trying to describe what we went through, the gratitude of seeing what we saw, doing what we did, and being with who I was with, it's too big to just be in one body. And I wanted to thank our families for everything that he just said. So great words, great words, great words.
And yeah, you know what? I love, and I've talked about this since this whole thing began, but this was a big middle finger to China, because we are beating China in the new space race. That's huge. Christina Koch talked about the value of being part of a crew, the value of teamwork, of having each other's back, and Christina Koch made a bigger point about seeing tiny Earth from far away.
I may have not learned, I know I haven't learned, everything that this journey has yet to teach me. But there's one new thing I know, and that is, planet Earth, you are a crew. Thank you.
Except for Iran. Iran, if we were a crew, I would want Iran to walk the plank.
I'm all for that.
And China.
Yeah.
And Russia.
And Eric Swalwell. Sorry.
And Eric Swalwell. And you know what? It'll be Swalwell's wife that has the sword that is forcing him to walk the plank.
Yeah.
I get what Christina Koch was trying to do. Like they were trying to make this into more of a, hey, isn't the world wonderful, a big kumbaya thing? And I get it. I totally appreciate what they're trying to do. But there was part of me that was, all right, let's not get carried away. Am I wrong? Am I bad for?
No.
I mean, the world is like, we're not a big kumbaya moment right now.
How many nations chant death to America on a regular basis?
Well, that's exactly right. The Canadian, Jeremy Hansen, actually broke out in some French. Listen to this.
So I think I'll start with gratitude. Gratitude for my family, gratitude for NASA, for its leadership, gratitude for Canadian Space Agency, gratitude pour les Canadiennes et les Canadiens, et j'ai hâte de pouvoir revenir avec Reed, Christina, Victor, au Canada. Gratitude for the bravery and the courage for the teams to be no-go when we were no-go and go when we were go. That took a lot. And I don't think people will really ever fully comprehend how well supported and trained we were. It is almost unbelievable.
During Artemis's nearly 10-day mission, Artemis 2, their nearly 10-day mission, the astronauts voyaged deeper into space than the moon explorers of decades past and captured views of the lunar far side never witnessed before by human eyes. A total solar eclipse added to the cosmic wonder. On their record-breaking flyby, the astronauts reached a maximum of 252,756 miles from Earth before hanging that U-turn behind the moon, eclipsing Apollo 13's distance record. And so now all eyes, of course, on the next mission. And then hopefully after that, we land back on the moon. So I thought, again, it was very cool. I personally would pay a nickel more in taxes to get a better camera. Joan, you in with me? A nickel for a better camera so that we could actually see the rescue at sea?
But it wasn't just that. When the capsule was coming down from the sky, they couldn't even keep the camera on it. It was shaking so much, and I get it. I mean, it must be a difficult shot, but I think they had a better shot of it coming down through the atmosphere like 100 years ago. It was really pretty bad.
Yeah, I think it was going like, was it Sam, fact check me on this. It's like 5,000 miles an hour, something like that. I can't remember how. It was going really fast. But you're right. And one of the things I was like, I'm looking at this, them trying to keep the ship in the shot. And I'm like, just, zoom out a little bit. You know what I mean? So that we can actually finally see it. But anyway, the mission was perfect from launch to landing, with the exception, again, of the toilet. Now they're going to try to figure out how to, fix the toilet and hopefully get better camera shots when they are down in the ocean for the splash landing.
All right, so on the re-entry, when it hit the atmosphere, it was doing about 25,000 miles per hour.
25,000, that's what I said, 25,000.
That's kind of hard to keep in frame, especially if you're on a helicopter on a digital zoom.
Yeah, Joan.
Yeah.
Cut him some slack.
Sorry.
Right. It is 6:26. Joan's got the news coming up at 6:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here, what happened to a Robertson County man's herd of goats? It's just pretty sad. And also, there was a marathon over the weekend that somebody made a big mistake over, and we'll tell you why the organizers are now apologizing. Those stories coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wait, herd of goats?
A herd of goats.
So what happened? I know you're gonna do the actual story.
Well, a bunch of them were more than a dozen of these goats were killed over the weekend.
And who owned these goats?
A man named Billy. I'm not kidding.
Are you kidding me?
Billy's goats.
Nope. So Billy's goats, were killed in some horrifying way, of which we'll find out at 6:30.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joan. Super Talk 99.7 WTN Brentwood Jewelry. Listen, lots of weddings are being planned right now, and I can tell you the best place for engagement rings is Brentwood Jewelry. You've got to check out their vast selection of wedding bands and semi-mount engagement rings, loose diamonds as well. They've got rings for every single budget, every single style, for both men and women. They are the official jewelry store of the Mandis house. I bought Amy a couple of amazing pairs of earrings, and she bought me my favorite watch. So no matter the event that you have coming up, special occasion, you've got to get that gift from a special place. My place, Brentwood Jewelry. Check them out online, brentwoodjewelry.com. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Again, brentwoodjewelry.com. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, brentwoodjewelry.com.
Good morning, now 6:32. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The first American Pope, Pope Leo, is apparently no fan of America's war with Iran. He's been speaking out about it with quotes from the Bible, including "Blessed are the peacemakers," a verse from the book of Matthew. His comments hit President Trump the wrong way.
We don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo.
Now, despite his comments, the Pope insists that he is not a political figure. A Robertson County man says something or some things have attacked his herd of goats. WSMV4's Braden Ross says Billy Brown lost more than a dozen goats last week.
Between Friday and Saturday, Billy lost 13 goats. He believes the neighborhood dogs, the ones he says are known to cause trouble, are responsible.
Okay, it's goats today. It's cats, it's dogs, it's little simple things, but okay, a 2-year-old child's out there playing. Mom turns her back and there's a problem.
Another neighbor told me she believes the dogs killed her cat about a year ago, but without proof, there's not much the county can do. The Robertson County Sheriff's Office is investigating the incident with Billy's goats, and Billy says he hopes they can do something to prevent another tragedy. But until then, he says he's going to do his best to protect the herd.
Also, organizers of the Covenant Health Knoxville Marathon are apologizing for causing more stress on the runners than a normal marathon. That's because the lead vehicle that goes ahead of the runners to show them the correct path got a little lost and made everyone run a half mile longer. The organizers say they're sorry and they'll try to get it right next year. That is the latest news.
Wait, what happened?
So, there's a lead vehicle in a marathon. Marathons are 26.2 miles. Mm-hmm. So the lead vehicle is supposed to take them and show the lead runners where to go, and everybody else kind of follows. Well, they got the wrong path.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so they're going to be even more insufferable with window stickers that say 26.7.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so everybody ran a half mile longer.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So that is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 634, Super Talk 99.7, USS, United Structural Systems. Now, this is your local expert company. They can help you with all things foundation and waterproofing and concrete leveling. Now, I've had them out to my house multiple times, and USS, this is a great company. I was a customer before I was an endorser. Now, these are folks, they live here, they work here, and they understand exactly how Tennessee soil, Tennessee weather, and Tennessee homes behave, and they should. They've been trusted by Tennesseans since 1994, serving homeowners across our great state for 30 years. More than 30,000 local homeowners have trusted United Structural Systems. That experience means that they have seen every type of problems that our homes face. Now, they know how to read the signs, right? Every crack or leak tells a story, they say, and USS knows what those signs mean, and they pinpoint to problems that you need to get taken care of. They pinpoint those problems at the source: foundation settlement, basement wall intrusion, crawl space moisture issues, and a whole lot more. So no real guesswork, obviously, just expert diagnosis for people who know Tennessee homes. Now, these are engineered solutions that last. You want to call them 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. What I always recommend folks do is go to their website, USSTN.com. There's a whole page of things that they can help you with, USSTN.com. They've got that A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. USSTN.com, that phone number one more time. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-488-7855. Dan Metis here for Ridgeside K9 Nashville. Now, I love these folks because I love dogs. And if you love dogs, and if you've got a dog that needs some special training, you've got to call my friends at Ridgeside K9 Nashville. I do call them the Dog Whisperers. Now, they've helped thousands of dogs across Tennessee and their owners, by the way, over the last 25 years, solve behavioral issues. They can help you as well. Aggression, potty problems, anxiety, basic obedience. They can help your dog with just about anything. Now, what I love about Ridgeside K9 Nashville is that they believe that owner education is just as important as dog education, as dog training. And long-term success with your dog begins with you. And Ridgeside Canine Nashville, now they've got a lifetime support guarantee. They are there for you 24/7. I've spoken to some of their clients. These folks are really happy that Ridgeside Canine Nashville were able to help their family. So find them online, rsk9nash.com. That's the letter K, the number 9, rsk9nash.com. Ridgeside Canine Nashville, veteran-owned, proven results, and guaranteed for life.
There's a problem on westbound 24 at the moment in Antioch, just before Hickory Hollow Parkway. There's a crash, and it's taking out 2 left lanes. Also in Smyrna, 24 west, before Sam Ridley Parkway, there's another accident this morning. That one is off to the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.639 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, real quick. So, Joan, the Pope is out there.
Yeah.
Doing what the Pope does.
Yep.
And I've got some audio from 60 Minutes. Apparently, there were some priests being interviewed as well. I want to review real quick, Joan, as soon as I play this piece of audio, what exactly it is that the Pope has a problem with this time regarding Donald Trump. So we're going to do that in a minute. I do want to play this piece of audio, though. This is on 60 Minutes, and they're talking about, preachers and pastors and so forth that are talking about politics from the pulpit.
What do you say to people in the pews who say, I don't want to hear politics from my priest?
I say, fine. I want to preach the gospel. God wants us to promote peace in the world because his desire is that we be one human family.
What we're seeing as pastors is an enormous, profound level of human suffering. And that's what motivates us.
So I'm just, I listen to that. And again, I don't want to, start bashing, people's Catholicism or, people's religion. But one of the things when you hear things like that is it just feels so out of context, right? So when we talk about human suffering, can we talk about the suffering that has happened here in America with illegal immigration? I mean, we have spoken ad nauseum about the number of Americans that have been killed by people that are here illegally, by people that have come into our country illegally, and they either refuse to leave, we deport them, and they come back and so forth. And then we see, like the president, our President Trump, last week, he posted that video of that poor woman getting hammered to death by an illegal alien outside of that liquor store. And so, I would agree with the priests on this matter that, there's a lot of human suffering. You know who's suffering? Americans, who we're watching our fellow Americans getting killed by illegal aliens. We are watching, of course, the huge amount of fraud that is happening in places like Minnesota and places like, if I remember right, wasn't it Vermont or Maine? You, of course, have all of that fraud that is going on in California as well. And a lot of the people that are ripping off American taxpayers, causing suffering, they're illegal aliens. And so I get the spirit with which the priests are talking about. But here's the deal, is just rampant, unfettered, illegal immigration is bad for any society. It is. They found that out in Europe, most certainly. And so let's review real quickly, if we can, Joan, what exactly was it that the Pope was complaining about with our policies?
All right, so here's what he had to say, at least in one point.
Too many people are suffering in the world today. Too many innocent people are being killed. And I think someone has to stand up and say there's a better way to do this.
Well, so I would ask the Pope, what is the better way?
Yep.
What's the better way? Because it seems to me like, I'm getting all mad at the Pope, but it does seem like, to me, peace through strength is going to save a lot of lives.
Yep.
Peace through strength saves lives. And so the Pope, I don't know what we were going to say, Joan.
Yeah,
the Pope is just driving me nuts. All right, go ahead.
So, okay, here we go.
I will continue to speak out loudly against war, looking to promote peace, promoting dialogue and multilateral relationships among the states to look for just solutions to problems.
He also thinks that even though he's speaking out, it's not about politics.
I do not look at my role as being a political politician. I don't want to get into a debate with him. I don't think that the message of the gospel is meant to be abused in the way that some people are doing.
He must have been overseas for a long time because he's from Chicago, but he sounds like he's Italian. Sorry.
Well, here's the thing, is I think that when you see things like this, where the Pope is talking about how there's people that are suffering, I mean, I would say this feels a little like platitudes. You know what I mean? Yeah, people are suffering, and we want that to stop. But when you have, for example, when you have what happened where Hamas went into Israel and killed 1,200 Israelis, yeah, there was a lot of suffering. And so when some of these folks come out and they say, oh, we need peace in the world. Well, okay, but you can't have peace in the world if you allow the evildoers to run rampant. You're going to have a lot more death if you don't put the evildoers in their place. And so it just feels like, oh, end the suffering. I agree. But the only way to end the suffering is to kill the ones that are causing the suffering.
So the Bible also talks a lot about how things like this is not a physical war. This is a spiritual battle, clearly a spiritual battle. And so the Bible has all kinds of references about how we need to step up and fight in the name of the righteous against the evil spirit. And so what we're doing is not just, a physical, we're going to go out there and do battle against so-and-so, but we need to stand firm, put on the full armor of God thing and get out there and do it. And not doing it is what makes us evil. If we turn a blind eye, whistle past the graveyard, as people like to say, if we're doing that, we're helping the evil to win.
Well, and the thing is, you'll notice that, and people have been posting about this online, where the Pope doesn't necessarily say these things if it's, like, for example, a Joe Biden. And I'm using the Pope as a generic because we've had a lot of popes. But where popes don't necessarily say this when Democrats are in office, well, in fairness to, various popes, it's not like Democrats exhibit peace through strength. What the Democrats do is they just allow the chaos to run rampant, and that's how we ended up with all of these illegal aliens in our country to begin with, and that brings us full circle to the death and destruction that we've seen in our country because of the 15 to 20 million illegal aliens that have come into our country. And I mean, I don't mean to, harp on the same thing, but, Pope, look what happened in your city of Chicago. Yeah. Where you had, I think, not one, but two innocent people that, to use their phrase, they had to suffer a lot when they were killed by those illegal aliens. There was one in Chicago. There's one in New York, actually. And you know what? There's a lot of suffering going on in Chicago because of the issues regarding illegal immigration and guys that are coming into our country and doing horrible things. And so the Pope, I'm assuming he didn't say anything about that. It's all just about these platitudes of, oh, we need to stop the suffering. Well, let's get into specifics, Pope. What would you do about the guy that walked up to that, 18, 19-year-old girl and shot her dead? Yeah. Just walking out and looking at the stars. Let's get into some specifics, Pope, and people who have a problem with, with what the president is trying to do to curtail crime and illegal immigration in this country. Because it's when you get away from the platitudes about, and I'm going to air quote this, the suffering. It's when you get away from the platitudes about, oh, we need to end the suffering, and let's drill right down into the suffering that's happening in this country. Let's drill right down into the suffering that's happening across the world. Are they talking about Iran? Is that what they're talking about? Where they throw gay people off of buildings? Is that the suffering they're talking about? No, they're talking about Donald Trump and what he is trying to do to save the lives of all of those Iranian people. Let's not forget the 45,000 that were killed, courtesy of the Iranian government, because they were out there protesting. So I would like to ask the Pope to get into some specifics, please. What are we talking about here? And I'm not bashing Catholicism. I'm not bashing any of that. I'm asking a question where let's start drilling into some details as to what exactly is it that the Pope is talking about. Sam, your mic is on. What do you want to say?
Nailed it.
Oh, all right. All right. It is. I shudder to think what the super text line. I get frustrated when I hear platitudes like this, and the insinuation is that, the president, the Republicans, we're doing all of these horrible things all across the world when ultimately what we're trying to do is save lives. All right. It is 6:04. We are way late for traffic. Time to check the roads on WTN. 6:49, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. A couple of showers this morning, otherwise breezy, not as warm, with intervals of clouds and sun, and a high around 80. Super Talk 99.7. WTN Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Let's see here, 0318. Easy to, talking about the Pope, easy to say inside a walled, secure compound, and, all of the people are agreeing with me. People are, let's see here. I agree with you, Dan. I'm a 71-year-old Catholic. I'm Catholic, but I'm also frustrated with his comments. Okay, so there you go. I'm watching them come in by like the dozens every single second. So anyway, whatever.
Well, and you made a good point. More Americans have been killed in Chicago than have been killed in Iran since that conflict started. And he said nothing about the mayor or the governor in Chicago and Illinois and how they're handling things. So it's if you're going to speak, dude, speak from your own backyard first. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. The guy has always been somebody who has been against, Donald Trump, and it's obviously going to continue. We'll have to, watch and see if there's anything else going on in Iran, which is what we're all watching for. At 9 o'clock our time, the president is going to basically barricade or block the Strait of Hormuz. We covered that extensively in the 5 o'clock hour. Coming up after the news at 7, we've got Richard Newton, who's going to be joining us, General Richard Newton. He is our military analyst. He's going to talk about what it's going to take to block the Strait of Hormuz. That's number one, because effectively what we're doing is we're blocking Iran from being able to use the Strait of Hormuz essentially exclusively, because that's what they've been doing. And so as they have been using the Strait of Hormuz but not allowing other countries to do it, to use it, then what they've been able to do is sell oil at, really inflated prices. So they've been making bank, as I was talking about this earlier. They've been making bank on being able to use the Strait of Hormuz and selling all of that oil to China, among other nations. And so what we're doing is now we're going to say, okay, Iran, you're not going to be able to use the Strait of Hormuz either. We're going to shut it down. And of course, that has sent oil prices skyrocketing this morning. Real quick, Joan, do we have the futures, the oil futures right now? I don't know if she's even listening at this point.
No, she's not listening. She's working on her newscast at 7 o'clock. I can almost guarantee you she is going to have the oil futures coming up in the news at 7. Got a lot more straight ahead on WTN. Joan's got the news coming up at 7. Joan.
Yeah, so we'll tell you about the one thing that the U.S. Navy is most worried about in that Strait of Hormuz as the blockade begins. We'll tell you what that is coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you very much. 6:52, Nashville's Morning News on WTN at the Glock store. Now, listen, this is a date you need to keep in mind. It is going to be on Saturday, May 30th, where they are going to have their, I don't know what number this is, but it's another open house from my friends at the Glock store. Now, they do this every year, and it is an incredible event. So you've got all kinds of vendors, you've got food trucks, you've got speakers, you've got all kinds of ammunition, you've got all kinds of guns, you've got raffles and giveaways and so forth at the Glock store. This is going to be on Saturday, May 30th. It is, I would say, as far as 2A goes, I would say that this is their open house. This is probably one of, if not the biggest 2A events in Middle Tennessee. It is the Glock store's open house, Saturday, May 30th. I'm going to be there. Chris Hand's going to be there. Matt Murphy's going to be there as well. So if you want to join the raffles, if you want to hear some great speakers, if you want to get some ammo and some gun accessories and some firearms at some great prices, great rebates, check out the Glock store Saturday, May 30th. Again, me, Matt, and Chris, we're all going to be there. So come out, say hello to us, say hi to the Glock store, and pick up a lot of great two-way stuff. Here are some speakers, and also you will be in the running for some outstanding raffles. That is Saturday, May 30th. Check them out online, the Glock store. It is glockstore.com, shoot270.com. Mark Spain Real Estate. Skip the spring cleaning and sell your home hassle-free with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Dan Mandis here. The spring real estate market is in full swing. Now you can skip the hassle of listing your home on the market and sell your home on your terms with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. No showings, no open houses, just a strong all-cash offer and close in as little as 21 days. Now, one of their clients, Caitlin, said working with Mark Spain Real Estate was so easy and they exceeded my expectations. It was a very competitive real estate market and they helped us accomplish our goals. Caitlin says I would 100% work with Mark Spain Real Estate again. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate has been helping homeowners just like Caitlin sell their homes for 30 years. They've served over 72,000 satisfied clients. So you don't have to worry about the inconvenience of selling your home. The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate makes the home selling process seamless and, yes, stress-free as well. Find out what the guaranteed offer on your home would be. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. 855-299-SOLD. markspain.com. Check them out online and start packing. 6:58 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 and WTN. Joan, should I break out the whole, I talked about this on Friday, should I break out the whole 24 dink, dink, dink
Oh,
clock
yeah, you know, I like it.
for the whole, counting down to the Strait of Hormuz closing?
I think so.
As Donald Trump is blocking Iran from blocking the Strait of Hormuz?
Right.
Which is essentially what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
You don't block the strait, I block the strait. I will block your blocking of the strait because my blocking is better than yours.
Listen, you know what you do in 4D chess is you block is what you whatever. Anyway, so that we'll see what happens. I can't wait to see. I'm going to ask Richard Newton, General Richard Newton, who's coming up after the news at 7. If he has a prediction as to whether or not Iran will challenge our blockade. And what would we do if you were the president, Joan, and Iran tried to if they tried to break our blockade, what should we do?
We should ask Pope Leo to go talk to them on our behalf.
Yeah,
Hey,
will you
people,
help
by
us
the way,
out here, buddy?
My little Pope rant there. People are saying, why don't we send the Pope out to negotiate with Iran? Maybe he could do better. I don't know. Whatever. By the way, so 3717, the Pope is woke. 1307, in the history of popes, this checks out. Let's see here. I don't know. I got a lot of people pro what I said. A few people, not a lot of people, actually. I was a little surprised that I didn't get more pushback on my pushback of the Pope and what he said regarding, the suffering in the world. And I understand somebody had comments about what I said. I basically said, if you can't keep up with the conversation, that's fine. Keep listening. If you weren't able to catch it the first time, you can rewind the tape and see where I, basically brought the whole thing first full circle. But it's cool if you can't keep up. 7882. Love you. Thank you for listening. 7 o'clock, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. Now 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. So when the U.S. Navy blockade begins in the Strait of Hormuz at 9 o'clock Central Time this morning, the confrontation with swarms of Iranian speedboats are what's being most watched. The Islamic Republic is said to own a fleet of up to 5,000 speedboats, and they've been described as still being roughly intact. Iran's traditional navy has been decimated, make that, by U.S. airstrikes. An armed carjacking ended yesterday in a way that nobody was expecting.
Lebanon police responded to an armed carjacking. Later, Mount Juliet police saw the car on I-40 and tried to pull it over. Officers say Lorenzo Weir eventually crashed into a tow truck.
That's News 2's Kenley Hargett. Now, Weir had non-life-threatening injuries. Lebanon police say that Weir stole that car at Peyton Park Apartments from a woman who had a small child with her. As if drought and surging energy and feed costs weren't bad enough, Texas agriculture is facing a rising threat from the southern border.
It's been nearly 2 years since a parasite called the New World screwworm was detected in central Mexico. Here in Texas,
we have like a $35 billion livestock industry, so it would affect that.
Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller has been monitoring the northward migration of the screwworm.
They're here, just across our border.
About 90 miles away in the Mexican state of Nuevo Leon. Miller is urging Texas cattle ranchers to closely monitor their herds. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And fishermen are getting federal permission to once again catch salmon off California. It comes under the category of making fishing great again.
The salmon are running again in California. So many federal fishery managers voted Sunday to open the coast to commercial salmon fishing for the first time since 2022. Recent wet winters mean more cold water, which the fish need to spawn. Populations have also bounced back because we humans removed 4 dams that blocked their spawning routes. After they hatch, they mature in the Pacific for a few years, then migrate back to their freshwater spawning grounds where they lay eggs and die Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. And President Trump yesterday threatened to impose a 50% tariff on China after a report emerged that Beijing was preparing to deliver a shipment of new air defense systems to Iran. So right now, the Dow futures are down 473 points. We've been falling a bit over the past hour or so. NASDAQ futures are minus 181 and the S&P futures are minus 48 points. Now, Brent crude oil is currently sitting at $104 a barrel. Brent crude is at $102 a barrel. The West Texas crude oil is at $104 a barrel. So we are back over $100 a barrel once again. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:03, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7, the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Listen, if you have chronic back or neck pain, you've got to check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They can help you like they helped me years ago. Hard to believe, 12 years ago, I came to Middle Tennessee, and I did have back and neck pain. They helped me with non-surgical spinal decompression therapy. They can help you as well. That is why I say that, Dr. Kevin Mitchell, he is my doctor, and he should be yours as well. Now, right now, they're offering you 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. So if you do have that back and neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes, they can all be a past memory. They can help you today. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. Now, you got to call them. Mention WTN. Mention Dan Mandis. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Find them online, painisbad.com. They've got all kinds of terrific technology, robotic lasers, anti-gravity machines, cryo machines, stem cell stimulation machines, all at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Again, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. The website, painisbad.com.
Still working a crash scene in Antioch on 24 westbound. It's before Hickory Hollow Parkway, exit 60. And you've got that crash now off to the right shoulder. In Hendersonville, Long Hollow Pike at New Shackle Island Road. That's an accident scene as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to a Monday. It is April 13th of 2026. Always love having General Richard Newton on the radio program. General, always great, as I said, to have you on. And you've got to be a very busy guy this morning with all of your political and military analysis. So I appreciate you taking the time to joining us here on Nashville's Morning News. 2 hours and counting. So were you surprised that the president decided that beginning at 9 o'clock our time that he was going to block the Strait of Hormuz, and that means that even Iran isn't going to be able to use it?
Well, good morning, Dan. Happy Monday morning to everybody in Nashville. The fact is that I'm very proud, frankly, of our U.S. delegation led by Vice President Vance over the weekend in Islamabad, stuck to the United States red lines. The bottom line is, with regard to the ceasefire negotiations with Iran, two major key points. Number one, Iran opened up the Strait of Hormuz and no longer threaten commercial global shipping through the strait. And secondly, cease and desist immediately and never achieve again a development for nuclear weapons. And President Trump and the administration wanting to really cut a deal at all costs. And I believe that, President Trump, held to his guns, and so did the U.S. and our negotiating team. So I'm not surprised now that also that we have plenty of options for the Commander-in-Chief and for U.S. Central Command, led by Admiral Brad Cooper. And one of the key options out of that deep playbook for the United States is a blockade. It's a difficult undertaking. It's a big task. There are some risk involved, but not surprised and frankly pleased that we're holding to our guns here, literally.
Let me ask you, sir, because I do find this interesting. J.D. Vance goes to Iran, and it ended pretty much how I thought that it would end. Do you believe that Iran, do you think that they're negotiating in good faith?
Absolutely not. They never have in their 47 years of their theocratic regime. You can't trust Iran. They do not, really show any cards going in, and they always try to delay. I believe this ceasefire period, and we're about halfway through, is all about Iran not acquiescing to United States strength, but really seeking to just survive, Dan. And by delay, they compel, perhaps in their own minds, that this president, this administration, will, because of the concern over gas prices at the pump, perhaps the midterm elections coming up, and all those type of issues that they perceive, that this administration will blink. But you cannot trust them. They will try to lie, steal, and cheat. And that's, I believe, the administration knows that. And so really the bottom line for President Trump and from a diplomatic side is maintain our red lines, achieve a ceasefire and likely, hopefully, an ensuing negotiated settlement to this, but based on United States terms. I believe the United States has a lot of cards. You've heard in the media and elsewhere that perhaps we don't. I disagree with that. And I think that's why the president and certainly our negotiating team lead, in this case, Vice President Vance, after 21 hours of negotiations, saw that we weren't getting anywhere. So we returned home to Washington, D.C.
General Richard Newton is joining us on Super Talk 99.7. Okay, so let's get down into some of the X's and O's of closing the Strait of Hormuz. It actually makes sense to me. Closing the Strait of Hormuz, blocking Iran from blocking the Strait of Hormuz, because now they will not be able to make any money either shipping oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Can we talk about these speedboats that Iran apparently has like 5,000? How easy is it going to be if we have this blockade going on? How easy will it be for Iran to attack our ships from either these speedboats or from the shore missiles, et cetera?
Well, that's what Admiral Brad Cooper, the commander of U.S. Central Command, by the way, the world's foremost expert on blockades and naval surface warfare capabilities. He commanded the Fifth Fleet up in the Persian Gulf before he took over at U.S. Central Command. So we've got the right person, the right leadership, in the right position, as I mentioned, with Admiral Brad Cooper. So he understands these waters. It's very challenging, however. I'm more concerned about perhaps their sea mines. They've got an inventory of up to several thousand sea mines. Secondly, as you mentioned, those gunboats. They're small, agile, but we're used to and accustomed to dealing with those gunboats. On scale, yes, that'll be significant. And the other aspect of this is that the Iranians will do everything they possibly can to smuggle ships in and out of the strait. It's not an easy task. That's why we have positioned the USS Abraham Lincoln, the significant U.S. carrier strike group, along with a dozen or so plus destroyers and frigates that will now focus on opening up the strait, and then perhaps, if you think in terms of the Strait of Hormuz, and then to the east where the mouth of the North Arabian Sea, which is where the Lincoln is positioned right now. That's one aspect of the strait, but then the other aspect of it, dealing with these gunboats and other threats from Iran, is inside the strait and then moving into the Persian Gulf. That's where we're going to need help from allies in this case. Allies are very important. I know the administration, and particularly President Trump, has harped on our allies, but I see it the other way. I think it's very important that we have these allies, namely the U.S., the British, with their minesweeper capability. I would also anticipate that you'll see United Arab Emirates, the Emiratis, their Navy, as well as Saudi Arabia, their Navy also to help out with the blockade to compel commercial shipping now to go back and forth inside the Persian Gulf and to the west of the strait, if you will. That'll be very important, and along with a half dozen or so of other U.S. destroyers and frigates to keep that strait open. But bottom line to your question, yeah, these gunboats are they're an asymmetric warfare tool that Iran has. They will be eliminated, as well as Iran's sea mine capability, but it's going to take time, Dan.
Let me ask you this, because this is how I kind of see this playing out is, okay, so we've got our warships, and they've blocked the Strait of Hormuz beginning at 9 o'clock this morning, an hour and 45 minutes from now. What if Iran tries to go around our blockade? I mean, is this the kind of thing where Trump would be within his right and authority to sink their ships?
Absolutely. A blockade is an act of war, and we've demonstrated that from the United States standpoint. Let's remind our listeners, Dan, you and I have talked about this many times. The straits are actually in international waters. And so Iran trying to block shipping through the straits is really an act of war on their part. And so if they decide to do that, we will engage with combat military power that we have there in the strait, which is significant, as well as let's remember that we own the skies over the strait itself with air cover. We've got those A-10 attack aircraft. We've got Apache helicopters and other capabilities. One more bit of update with regard to U.S. military capability. You recall a couple weeks or so ago, the USS Tripoli with the 31st Amphibious Readiness Group has arrived on scene in and around the Strait of Hormuz, which also adds 2,500 Marines. Yes, that's ground force power, but also includes a squadron of F-35 strike aircraft as well as other helicopter assets on that Amphibious Readiness Group. Final point with regard to military power, we've got another Amphibious Readiness Group, another complement of 2,500 Marines and F-35 strike fighters en route from the USS Boxer, which should be arriving for Admiral Cooper to engage these targets and likely will here in about 10 days or so. So you'll have two amphibious readiness groups. You've got the USS Abraham Lincoln. It's reported also that a third carrier strike group is on the way. The H.W. Bush set sail out of Norfolk, should be there in the Central Command area of responsibility in about 10 days. We've got the Gerald Ford, which is coming out of repairs. Also, their complement of air power as well. Plenty of U.S. military capability is now on scene or will be very shortly.
It is 7:15. More with General Richard Newton is coming up next. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, a couple of showers this morning, otherwise breezy, not as warm, intervals of clouds and sun, high around 80. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We have an hour and 45 minutes before President Trump moves our warships in and we block Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. And I guess my question, General Richard Newton, okay, so how does this ultimately end? We're trying to basically destroy Iran's economy because they've been utilizing the Strait of Hormuz and they've been selling oil while they've got it close to most other countries. And so how do you think this is going to end? Will this give enough financial pressure for Iran to come back to the table and actually negotiate in good faith and give us what we really need, which is an assurance that they will not try to create nuclear weapons?
Unknown, Dan, and that's kind of that I don't want to sound as if that's a trivial response, but first off, let's want everyone to understand this is not against the Iranian people. This is against the economies, the other infrastructure elements, their ballistic missile development capability, their ballistic missiles themselves, the launchers, their nuclear weapons development capability, their leadership. It's all against the Iranian regime itself. And so I believe what the president's going to endeavor to do, along with now Prime Minister Netanyahu, will continue to do, should we call upon renewing military strikes, renewing the military campaign we've seen since February 28. That is now going after the infrastructure that supports the regime, their leadership, their political, underpinnage there. As I mentioned, their defense industrial base, other things that support with regard to the Iranian economy that supports directly the regime itself, certainly going after the Strait of Hormuz, perhaps take Karg Island, which is where 90% of Iran's oil and natural gas actually emanates from through the strait and so forth. We're really trying to now compel Iran to go back to a negotiated table that would be all cards now are in the president's and the administration's deck here, stacked up against Iran. That's the real objective. I would hope is not a strategy, but I'm all for diplomacy prevailing here in creating the conditions for all the support and infrastructure towards the regime is destroyed. That's a tall order, however. But I think what really I would support and advise the president is to pick up again on the military campaign. There's still a number of targets we can go after, especially there's remnants of their nuclear weapons development capability up at Isfahan and Natanz, namely. There is 900 pounds of enriched uranium, about 60% of it's enriched, and then there's another 100 or 200 pounds down at Natanz. Perhaps we would need to go in and get that. That's a tall order, Dan. We can talk about that at a later time. But there's still plenty of action for the United States to take against the regime in order to at least create the conditions for they cry uncle at this point. But they now realize that they've got, President Trump, they perhaps may have thought that the president really was, trying to, his sense of over-eagerness, perhaps on their part, trying to garner a ceasefire. Well, that's not true. And so we're entering a new phase, Dan, where all eyes will be now on that blockade, but also what I anticipate will be impending military action, not only by the United States, but by Israel as well.
How worried are you? There's news today that China may be giving some of these shoulder missile launchers, the kind of launcher that took down that F-15. And so apparently China has been giving some sort of weaponry to Iran. Is that worrisome to you?
It is worrisome, but it doesn't surprise me. When I think you and I maybe talked about this about 3 weeks or so ago, recalling Russia providing intelligence capabilities to Iran to more effectively target, their Gulf Arab nations and so forth. And this is just another page out of the alignment between now China and Iran. They've been providing nuclear weapons technology, even scientists, for years. And so it should not surprise us that they would also be aligned, still very strongly aligned with Iran, now providing what we call man-pad or shoulder-held air defense capabilities and so forth. Very concerning, but does not surprise the president or the Trump administration, the Pentagon, or our intelligence community. It also underscores, Dan, how more closely aligned in 2026 directly and even somewhat publicly that China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia are no longer just loosely aligned, but they're practically aligned as well, either through exercises leading up to the campaign that kicked off on February 28th, or now we're seeing them providing air defense capabilities and perhaps other technologies that they've been covered up, but now is out in the public view, at least through the intelligence community. Is it worrisome? Yes. But I tell you what, the president has a major summit visit to China with President Xi on 14 and 15 May coming up here in about a month or so. That'll be a major discussion point, I'm sure, because China needs the United States. And the president, I believe, has leverage here with regard to China and their economic position in the world. However, China also realizes that it has a lot of, stock in Iran because they've been providing Iran so much support over the last several years, if not decades. And so they want to keep that leverage against the West. But if the United States goes and blockades the strait, it really now pounds even more so their nuclear weapons development program, their other retaliatory capabilities and so forth. And if Iran is truly decimated and if the conditions are set for the regime to collapse, I'm not saying it's going to collapse. That's a tall order. But that takes leverage away out of Iran as what they think to be as a superpower themselves. So, yes, concerning. We've got to deal with it. But I think the president has leverage here, especially coming up with that summit, because Xi needs this summit to be successful in order if he's going to be invited to another summit that president has offered up to President Xi to the United States in October. So think of this not as 3D chess, but almost four-dimensional chess with all these national security tools in play: information, diplomacy, military, economic finance.
Fascinating to watch, fascinating to talk about. And General Richard Newton, as always, thank you for joining us here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A great, great perspective. All right, well, we'll, keep folks abreast of what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Chris Hand, really, Joan, is going to get all the fun because this starts at 9, and that's when Chris comes on. So we're doing like the pregame, if you will. Then it all begins at 9 o'clock this morning. 7:23 now. Joan's got the news coming up at 7:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here at 7:30, the first weekend of Waymo driverless cars here in Nashville, and it went kind of wrong in a number of places. We'll detail what happened here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you, Joan, and Dan Mandis here. And listen, summer, I know it is months away, but the work to get that beach bod back begins right now. My friends at Contours, they can help you get it back with FDA-cleared red light technology. Now, Contours is going to help you target those areas that you hate, whether it is your belly, your arms, or your legs. Whatever problem area you have, you can solve that problem. No pain, no surgery, no downtime, just results. Now, I've talked about how I usually fall asleep during my treatments. Matt Murphy is going through these treatments as well. And real men and women from Franklin and all across Middle Tennessee have been checking out Contours and seeing real results. Now, that beach trip isn't that far away, and neither is Contours. Let Contours help you get rid of those trouble spots. And right now, the first 10 callers get a special introductory price of just $99. Now, remember, you lose 2 inches across the middle, or it is free. First 10 callers right now get that introductory price of $99. When you call this number right now, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Find them online anytime, contoursllc.com, contoursllc.com, 615-236-9960. Contours, where all you've got to lose is inches.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. U.S. talks with Iran fell apart over Iran's insistence that it keep its nuclear ambitions alive.
There's no way that they're going to they still want it. And they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump speaking with reporters as he returned to Washington last night. A blockade on the Strait of Hormuz begins in just under 4 hours. It is the first weekend of Waymo driverless cars being unleashed on Nashville. And there were 4 incidents of the cars being stuck and holding up traffic. Fox 17 reports that in one case, a pedal tavern appears to confuse the automated vehicle.
Here, you could see a Waymo car stopped in the middle of the 100 block of Demumbrian Street. A Waymo representative says after we contacted them, they reviewed that footage from inside the driverless car. They say that vehicle got stuck or stopped after trying to navigate around a pedal tavern. The car turned wide and then stopped, almost appearing to be facing oncoming traffic. The rep said the Waymo then sensed a large bus further down the road, adding to the confusion. The Waymo car was stopped for several minutes, people honking their horns before it then continued on. There were no passengers inside that car.
Now, Waymo insists that its safety is the company's top priority. Clarksville teacher Matthew Vetter has resigned after being sidelined in another non-teaching job for weeks. News 2's Peyton Kennedy says he's being investigated by the school and TBI.
He's accused of displaying an inappropriate photo on his personal device while showing an appropriate photo to a student back in March. Vetter is married to current CMCSS Director of Schools, Dr. Jean Luna Vetter.
The school says that Vetter's resignation won't have any effect on its investigation. It is still ongoing. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Dan Mandis here, looking for TRT that is flexible enough for your lifestyle. Head on over to Low T Center, the #1 name in TRT. You can choose testosterone shots, pills, or enclomiphene that boosting testosterone without affecting fertility. Now, you can get your treatment in the clinic or have your testosterone shipped right to your door. You can even choose self-pay or insurance coverage for the payment option that works best for you. Low T Center is looking out for you, and right now at the Low T Center, they're offering new treatment options, including PT-141, an FDA-approved libido-boosting peptide, new antioxidants, GLP-1 pills, and a whole lot more. So you can boost energy, you can lose weight, you can increase your confidence with the Low T Center. If you'd like to explore treatments that work with your lifestyle and your budget, book your free T-test right now. The website, fixmylowt.com. That is fixmylowt.com. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Fixmylowt.com. Dan Mandis here, and I need to make a formal apology to my listeners. That's right. I need to apologize for not getting my vision corrected sooner and for not encouraging you earlier to call Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. Now, in all seriousness, I had lens replacement surgery just over a year ago, and I can tell you firsthand, it has been absolutely life-changing. Now, you don't realize just how much you're missing when you're living with blurry or cloudy vision. Driving, reading, even just seeing people clearly across the room, everything is sharper, brighter, and easier now that I've had this procedure through Dr. Horn. Now, whether you're dealing with cataracts, age-related vision loss, or you're just tired of glasses and contacts, Dr. Horn has a solution tailored to your eyes and your lifestyle. Now, the procedure is quick. It is painless. The recovery is fast. I've been through it, of course, as you know. The results really do speak for themselves, so stop putting it off. Call my buddy Dr. Horn and all the vision pros at Vision for Life. That phone number is 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. Find them online anytime. It is visionforlife.com to schedule your consultation, your free consultation, by the way. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.
It is a crash at the downtown split this morning, 40 westbound just before I-24. There's a crash. It's in the left lane. Watch it, too, on westbound 24 in Antioch before Hickory Hollow Parkway. They're still working on a crash on the right shoulder there. Charlotte Avenue in Nashville at 53rd Avenue North. You've got a crash in that spot, too. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, Joan.
Yes.
When you hear me scream Omaha, you know what that means, right?
No.
It means you got to call an audible.
Oh, okay.
It's a football reference, Joan.
I see. Okay.
Omaha. So anyway, yeah, Congressman Andy Ogles.
A Peyton Manning reference.
Yeah, it's a Peyton Manning reference. So Congressman Andy Ogles on his way, running a little late. You know, maybe we'll ask him, Joan, if one of those Waymo cars got in his way.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what we can ask him.
What'd you call it?
I know I shanked
wrong
it.
things all the time.
Waymo.
There you go.
I like Waymo better because it's like a Temu version.
That's what I meant there, Sam. No, it's funny. I had it written down on my paper as Waymo, but I had buried my piece of paper. Anyway, Congressman Ogles is on his way, so he is running a little bit late, but that's okay because I actually wanted to get, and by the way, Sam, when I start waving, that means that the congressman is here.
You're not having a stroke. I need to go get him.
That's exactly right. Now, speaking of Iran, we just had a great conversation with General Richard Newton and all things from a strategery standpoint, if I may, on what is going on with Iran. And, of course, we are now an hour and 42 minutes away from the blockade, Strait of Hormuz. I'll ask the congressman about that. But, you know, one of the things that I did ask the general about was China sending those rocket launchers, apparently sending the rocket launchers to, I've got some video here, Sam, sending those rocket launchers to Iran, which is part of the news cycle this morning. This is what President Trump said, if they can confirm that Iran is actually doing that.
You said the other day that any country that supports Iran and sends military equipment to Iran will face a 50% tariff if they try to bring products. Did you refer to China? Did you mean China?
Yes, and other people, but yes, China too.
Okay.
If we find that China, because I hear news reports, so a news report doesn't mean much to me because they're so fake, but I hear news reports about China giving the shoulder missiles, what's called a shoulder missile, anti-aircraft missile. I doubt they would do that because I have a relationship and I think they wouldn't do that, but maybe they did a little bit at the beginning, but I don't think they would anymore. No, but if we catch them doing that, they get a 50% tariff, which is that's a staggering amount.
So that is President Trump talking about China and whether or not they are sending those shoulder-fired rocket launchers to Iran. I will say this, and you know that I'm a supporter of Donald Trump, but if he doesn't think that China is capable of sending rocket launchers to Iran, absolutely they are capable of doing that. And absolutely if they are, then we need to retaliate. Now, all of this, of course, follows what I would say can only be described as we gave it our best shot. I believe that the 21 hours of negotiations that happened in Pakistan, we did give it our best shot. Unfortunately, we know what happened. By the way, real quick, Sam, we did a Daily Dan poll where we did ask people in the 5 o'clock hour, do you believe that Iran is negotiating in good faith? Now, I did ask General Richard Newton that question. He said absolutely not. I don't believe that Iran is negotiating in good faith. Heck, I'll ask Andy Ogles if he believes that Iran is negotiating in good faith. But I'd be willing to bet that the majority of people on the super text line said no, they're not negotiating in good faith. I know when I looked at the super text line earlier, most people said no. What did people say on the Daily Dan poll?
In the YouTube poll, do you believe Iran has been negotiating in good faith? 5% say yes. And then I just loved that Richard Newton happened to choose some of the wording for the no. I put absolutely the F not.
Yes, there you go. All right. Everybody knows. But you know what? I think that Trump had to do it. I think Trump had to send J.D. Vance and give it our best shot so that we could do what the next step was,
So
which
we could
was
say we were negotiating good faith.
we could say that we were negotiating in good faith. They refused to negotiate in good faith. So what do we need to do next is we need to block their blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. By the way, this was a J.D. Vance after the failed negotiations.
We've been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Yeah, so that is J.D. Vance following the negotiations. You know, the kind of silly things, Joan, that Sam and I talk about off the air.
Yeah.
So we were talking about whether or not J.D. Vance actually ate any food there in Pakistan.
Yes.
Because we talked about how we don't trust Pakistan.
Oh,
I mean, we just took out 3 layers of Iranian leadership, and now our number 2 goes all the way to Pakistan. You can't trust those people. Yeah. Anyway, but obviously he was able to, and I just can't imagine Pakistani food is very good. I don't know, maybe that's my own personal bias.
I'm thinking they might have a little American, like a burger or some hot dogs for JD.
You know, I wonder if they bring his own food. I got to ask, who would I ask? Do they bring like his own food?
I don't
like on Air Force, whatever he flies on.
Well, I think on the plane, you know, he
stayed obviously like a hotel or something.
Yeah, I think that they make sure that people who are visiting have food that is acceptable to their palate. Like,
yeah.
I think that here at the White House, if the Pakistani president came, we feed him some Pakistani food.
Yeah.
You know,
obviously they gotta test the food, you know, and just make sure that it's okay. Because again, we can't trust Iran and we cannot trust Pakistan. All right. Congressman Andy Ogles has arrived, and it is true to form, Congressman for a congressman. You're late. I'm totally kidding. We'll get into, actually, my ire these days is with the Senate. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. Let's do the traffic check real early here on Super Talk 99.7. All right, very good. 7:45, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather goes, a couple of showers in the morning, otherwise breezy, not as warm, intervals of clouds and sun, high around 80. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Congressman Andy Ogles joining us in studio. All right, Congressman, against my better judgment, I'm going to ask for the first question your thoughts on Eric Swalwell. In Congress, they're talking about, we covered it earlier, all kinds of nefarious allegations, sexual in nature, against Eric Swalwell. Of course, I did mention earlier the allegations against Republican Tony Gonzalez as well. So now the conversation in the House of Representatives is, should both of these guys just be booted because of these allegations?
Yeah, I mean, I think as soon as we get back tomorrow that there will be a resolution to remove both of them from Congress. And I would be surprised if it doesn't succeed.
Were you surprised at these allegations? I mean, I don't know how well you know Eric Swalwell, but Madison Cawthorn, of course, if you remember what he said a long time ago, which was, you know, in Washington, D.C., you got all kinds of, you know, nefarious things going on. They talked about orgies and all that kind of stuff. And, I mean, in this, one of the videos, you've got Swalwell and what is, some people are saying is a sex worker. I have no idea. But there are other people in the room as well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is Madison Cawthorn somewhere right now feeling like he's a little vindicated?
Right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like anywhere else. I mean, if you want to go look for trouble, you can find it. You know, I don't get invited to those parties, nor would I go. Yes. But that being said, so I actually am on Homeland with Swalwell, but he doesn't really especially this last year or so, because he's been running for governor. He's hardly there, but I don't know him very well. And so I can't really say was I surprised or not surprised, because I just didn't know the guy. I mean, there's 435 members of Congress. As a very conservative, I mean, I'm top 10. I'm ranked number 10 most conservative in the House. Mm-hmm. There's a kind of a composite score came out today. And so he's just not, we're not going to overlap in the same circles. you know?
Very good. Then let's get to more serious matters. Of course, we are, you can, hey, let's turn his mic off real quick. He's got to adjust it. You can bring that mic up a little bit if you would. There you go. Good. All right. Turn it back on. Thank you. All right. So we are 1 hour and it looks like, 14 minutes or so away from the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. It's basically Donald Trump is blocking Iran's blockade. I know that you are, you've been knee deep in, some of this stuff and maybe not in other stuff. But I mean, what's your thought on what is going to happen in the next hour and 13 minutes now?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there needs to be regime change. Now, that's not our goal, per se. Our primary goal is securing the nuclear material that Iran has in country and the exportation of terrorism. So, there's a nexus between Venezuela and Iran. So if you might ask the question, well, why did we grab Maduro? What you have to understand is that Iran was sending Hezbollah to Venezuela. They were getting fake IDs in Venezuela from the administration and then being ferried up to our southern border. And we literally just caught an Iranian sniper in Alabama, of all places. And so this guy was here. He had his military ID. He was here to kill people, and we were able to catch him. Iran is an exporter of terror. They have killed roughly 60,000 of their own people. And so no boots on the ground. I'll say that again. I do not want boots on the ground, but we have air superiority. We have naval superiority, and we can control that flow of oil and resources in and out of the region.
Yeah, we call that, I've covered things like that, weaponized migration. And that is exactly, you had Iran, you had North Korea, you had China that did that stuff as well, that kind of thing as well. You're, of course, on the House Committee on Homeland Security. How confident are you that once things, and they've already gotten real, clearly, in Iran, but every other day I see these stories about how Iran is, targeting soft targets here in America. From your vantage point, how safe are we?
Well, so not only am I on Homeland, I'm one of the chairmen. So I'm chairman of Cyber and AI, which means that I get a lot of classified information that most members of Congress don't. I'm somewhat shocked that we haven't had a mass casualty event here in the United States, because we know that we have active terror cells in this country that are operating. Some were surveilling, so we can figure out who, the what, the when, the where, and others, because of Venezuela, because of Maduro, these terrorists have come into the country and they've disappeared. And so, yes, we are constantly under attack. So whether it's China, North Korea, Russia, or Iran, they try to attack our systems. And so cyber is really the new battlefield in the landscape as we go forward. And you look at quantum computing, you look at AI, that's a whole separate conversation of what does the future hold. But practical today, Iran is certainly trying to, get into our systems and do nefarious things, because that's what they do. They're terrorists.
Well, that is what they do. And, when you look at what is going on, you had Israel and Lebanon, and now you do have those two sides beginning negotiations as well. The president, I think that J.D. Vance going in, and I was just saying this before you came in, that I thought that J.D. Vance and President Trump and doing what we're doing to try to negotiate some sort of a settlement with Iran, I don't believe that they're negotiating in good faith. I don't. They are, years and years, many years, decades, they've been lying about their nuclear aspirations, where they are with their want of nuclear weapons and so forth. And so, but I think that it's smart that we did decide to have these negotiations, even though I believe that we knew that they were not negotiating in good faith, so that we could block their blockade.
That's right. Again, look at their past actions. So, they were making nuclear material, not for energy, but for weapons. We blew up that facility. And what did they immediately? That was kind of their warning. Stop, guys. We're not going to let you do this. And they go to another facility and they immediately start making nuclear material for weapons-grade nuclear material. And then you look at the recent ceasefire, the 2-week ceasefire. after the ceasefire was announced, they launched 100 rockets into Israel. So, I mean, again, they are not negotiating in good faith. And kudos to the president. He's showing the world, like, we're trying. We're checking all the boxes. We're giving them every chance that we can possibly give them. We're trying to be reasonable, but you can't reason with an unreasonable people who want to destroy the West. I mean, they literally call Israel the little Satan, and they call the United States the big Satan. That's their view. And nothing's going to change that.
It's kind of funny, too, and I mentioned this on Friday, but it's kind of funny how people were, freaking out about Donald Trump saying that he was going to, civilizations will die, is what the president said. And everybody freaked out about that. And it's like, you people know that Iran has been calling for the death to America for, decades now. Yeah. And so I just,
Well, and part of that is, Trump's personality. He's constantly poking the bear. Oh, yeah. The left immediately overreacts. But again, he's also sending a message to the Iranian. And keep in mind, there's a difference between the people that are controlling Iran versus the Persian people. Ultimately, I would love to see the Persian people take their country back. But again, our ultimate goal is to secure that nuclear material that they have in country that they're trying to export here to the United States to blow us into smithereens.
When you talk about homeland security and you talk about Iran and you talk about their quest for nuclear weapons, I know that there seems to be some debate over how close Iran is to like a thing called the breakout. How close are they? I've read anything from, a few days to a few weeks to a couple of months. Nowhere have I said that it's years away. I mean, It is very close. Are you worried that, the longer that we take with all of this negotiations and messing around with the Strait of Hormuz, which is obviously very important, but they're getting closer and closer to that bomb? Or have we been able to just stop that production right now while, we deal with all of this?
Yeah, I would say arguably that their capacity to develop and advance has been halted, but that could change quickly. I mean, when you look at Iran going back to the late 70s, we underestimated that the regime was going to fall. And it's kind of like, go to the cyber realm that, we have to be right every single time. They only have to be right once. So if they're attacking, they're trying to develop a weapon, they're launching a missile, and so that's when you have asymmetric warfare or kinetic conventional warfare. We have to be right in defending the homeland every single time. They only have to get one missile through, one bomb through, one suitcase bomb through a port, and that's part of when you look at the government shutdown. Why that's so scary is because, one of the agencies that's not being properly funded is CISA. That's the agency that protects us from hacks. So keep that in mind. So every day when I get my briefing, my classified briefing, it's a stack of all of the hacks and detail that took place overnight, right? It's just volumes. Attack. And then, so as we go forward, you have to understand that these are critical infrastructure that the Democrats in the Senate are hijacking, making us less safe. There's another niche department agency that their responsibility rather, is to detect nuclear material coming across our borders and at our ports. It's not being properly funded. So cyber, not properly funded. Nuclear detection, not properly funded. And who's not funding it? The Democrats.
All right, you're going to say after the news?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so because coming up, what I want to talk to you about is, of course, funding. I think the Senate's back today.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so they're coming back today. I want to talk about what your thought is as far as what they're going to do with what the House passed a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
I cluster is the only word that I use is cluster when it comes to what's going on in Washington, D.C. related to the funding of the Department of Homeland Security, because you're right. We are vulnerable and we are at risk because of what is going on. And no one knows that more than you do from your vantage point in your various committees. 7:55 on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 8. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here, Dan. President Trump's comments last night about today's blockade. Also, why some Catholic nuns are suing New York's governor. Those stories and more at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
756 on Super Talk 99.7. Loan Pronto credit card interest rates are now over 29%. Now, most people are only making the minimum payment, so they're getting nowhere. It's Dan Mandis here, friends. But, here's what a lot of homeowners simply do not realize. Using the equity in your home, you can easily access hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can pay off your credit cards, your existing HELOC, your car loans, or get money for that home improvement project. Now, one client going through Loan Pronto just got $100,000 approved, saved over $1,500 every single month. And here's the best part. With Loan Pronto, you can do it all from your phone. Now, with zero out of pocket, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn out bank process, and no touching your first mortgage, this is huge. Now, rates are at near 3-year lows, so act right now with my friends at Loan Pronto. Go to loanpronto.com, see how much money you can get in about 60 seconds. Again, loanpronto.com, 2,800 5-star Google reviews. Call them at 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com. That is loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. President Trump had some pretty sharp words last night ahead of the planned U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, starting at 9 o'clock this morning Central Time.
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody. And Iran's in very bad shape.
He was speaking to reporters upon landing at Andrews Air Force Base, returning to D.C. from a weekend at the so-called Southern White House at Mar-a-Lago. U.S. Central Command announcing that all maritime traffic would be stopped no matter the point of origin. The plan invokes choking Iran financially to agree to U.S. demands to give up their nuclear program. Well, it's all over for Eric Swalwell, the Democrat California congressman, suspending his campaign for governor after 4 staffers accused him of sexual misconduct. One of them, a former aide, claimed that he raped her twice while she was too drunk to fight him off.
Since the allegations came out Friday afternoon, Swalwell lost major endorsements and donors, culminating in this post he wrote on Sunday evening, quote, "I am suspending my campaign for governor. To my family, staff, friends, and supporters, I am deeply sorry for mistakes in judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not a campaign's." Some internal polling before the allegations came out showed Swalwell voters ranked Democrat Katie Porter as their second favorite. In a statement, she urged them to coalesce behind her, while Republican Steve Hilton urged them to choose him.
This entire Democrat machine in California, it is collapsing into corruption and sleaze and scandal and chaos. And that is why we are going to kick them out this year.
That's Eitan Wallace at KTLA. Now, a movement in Congress, too, to remove Swalwell gained momentum over the weekend, with a growing number of Democrats signaling that they would sign on. And a group of Catholic nuns are suing New York Governor Kathy Hochul. The sisters care for people who are dying of cancer who can't afford nursing care. They do it for free. But a new law in New York would force them to assign rooms by gender identity, not biological sex, allow men in women's bathrooms, require staff to use preferred pronouns, and require the nuns to train in gender ideology. The nuns would be hit with fines, injunctions, and possibly having its license revoked if it doesn't comply. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Right now, the Dow futures down 464 points. And crude oil is spiking once again today. Brent crude is now up to $102 a barrel. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. A crash involving injuries. Northwest Nashville. It's Clarksville Pike, southbound before Kings Lane. Also this morning, you've got a crash on 65 South. It's at the North Loop area near I-24. It's in the right shoulder. Also, Highway 100. You've got a crash at McCrory Lane, Ellington Parkway in East Nashville before Cleveland Street, and on Charlotte Avenue at 53rd Avenue North. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.805 Nashville's Morning News, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into Hour 4 of Nashville's Morning News for today, April 13th of 2020. 1 hour and counting before we block Iran's blockade. I can't wait to see how this whole thing transpires throughout the day. Congressman Andy Ogles is joining us here in studio. Congressman, you go back to Washington, D.C. I don't know if it's tonight or tomorrow, but you're back in session tomorrow.
That's right.
All right, so let's talk about just a couple of things. The funding of the Department of Homeland Security. We still have ICE and Border Patrol that, by and large, are not funded. So let's talk about what happened. The Senate voice vote passed a couple of weeks ago, a bill, sent it back over to the House of Representatives. Mike Johnson was really angry because it didn't have long-term funding for both. And so then you folks passed your own version and booted it back to the Senate, where they will perhaps take it up tomorrow. How do you think that relationship is between Mike Johnson and John Thune?
To be determined, I guess, right? So ultimately we ended up staying over the weekend because what the Senate sent us was unacceptable. I mean, so there's tools in the Senate. So keep in mind that the House rules and the Senate rules are different. We're a simple majority. In the Senate, you have to have a 60 vote threshold. Now, they have reconciliation where they can do budgetary type spending. And then they have the talking filibuster where they can essentially commandeer the the Senate floor 24/7 for weeks if necessary. But you have to have members who are willing to do that, to work those shifts. And so at the end of the day, they're in the Senate. They signed up for the job. They need to do their job because Homeland's not being funded. TSA's not being funded. Now, the administration is moving money around, but like we talked about previously, you have some of these agencies that protect us from threats, external threats like nuclear weapons, like cyber attacks that aren't being fully funded. This is a national security issue, and the Senate Democrats in particular need to get off their what and do their dang job. Look, I get it that you don't like securing our country. I get it that you don't want the border shut down, but it is, and it's going to remain that way. Now do your freaking job.
The amazing thing is that clearly the American people, they want a secure border. They still, despite what happened in Minneapolis and Los Angeles and so forth, people still want mass deportations, and they are applauding the self-deportations as well. And, of course, the Save America Act is floating out there as well. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But, it's stunning to me the tone deafness of people who are against simply keeping America secure and funding ICE and the Border Patrol. It's just the people that in the House that are on the other side of the aisle, do they not understand that they're on the losing side of this argument?
I don't know. I think they're so driven by their agenda. But, I was in Memphis recently with the president, and, people there are thankful for President Trump for bringing ICE, bringing Homeland, this surge, and making their community safe again. I mean, literally had an African-American woman, historically a Democrat, who's a big Trump supporter now. She said, look, my kids can go outside and play. They couldn't do that before. It was not safe for my children to go outside to play. And so that's the reality they were living under then versus today. And the simple difference is Biden versus President Trump. Trump is intentionally going after the crime-ridden cities. And Nashville, not as bad as Memphis, is on that kind of top 20 list as far as violent crime. Now, we're also seeing, because of ICE activity in Nashville, that crime dropping. And so keep in mind, we haven't surged the National Guard into Nashville. But what we have been doing, one of the top cities in the country for deportations is Nashville. And what's happening with crime? It's going down because we've imported criminal after criminal, murderers and rapists into Nashville. And so enough is enough. It's working, and the American people realize it. I think the biggest thing going forward is going to be oil prices and stabilizing the markets, because whether it's corn, soybean, or oil, the markets like stability. And so that'll be one of the focuses of the president once we secure the strait, and obviously the tensions in Iran are over.
How worried are you that there will be long-term, when I say long-term, I mean these days long-term is like a couple of years.
Yeah.
How worried are you of the impact of the war in Iran over the past next couple of years? Because there's a lot of infrastructure that has been destroyed in the Middle East, not only in Iran, but in some of these other Gulf states as well. Are you worried about a 2, 3, 4 years down the line impact on gasoline prices, which could, from a political standpoint, hurt us in the midterms and possibly even the presidential?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why we have a strategic oil reserve is so that when you have these upticks in the market prices or volatility in the market because of disruptions in the strait or whatever, is that the president can backfill and calm the market. So there's mechanisms in place. But at the end of the day, I mean, the Gulf region as a whole wants to see regime change in Iran, because not only is Iran trying to destabilize us or attack us and attack Israel, if you're not aligned with them in the jihadi kind of mentality, they're against you as well because you're not Muslim enough. You're not, of their ideology enough. And so that's why you see some of the Gulf states either quiet or they're assisting us in the region because, look, they're tired of the nonsense too. I mean, when you look at the UAE, they want to sell oil, they want tourism, they want prosperity. What they don't want is jihad.
One of the things that, and I'm just going to read the headline, Representative Al Green, of course, has, and I laugh when I mention Al Green only because the guy is like a caricature of a nut job Democrat. Representative Al Green filing a resolution condemning you, Andy Ogles, for that post that you made a few weeks ago. This is the quote: "Muslims don't belong in American society. Pluralism is a lie." Now, that just hair on fire, people just went nuts about this. You have had a lot of pushback on that post. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, so that post was intentional in being inflammatory because I'm bringing attention to the facts that are unfolding in Europe. And this is data. Like, this isn't my opinion. This is simple, hard data. So you look at France. 48% of crimes committed in France. And again, keep in mind, in most of Europe, the Muslim population, the migrant population is between 6 and 12%. Obviously, it varies country to country, but it's 48% of crimes are committed by Muslims. That's from the French Interior Ministry. That's a problem when you have 8% of the population committing 48% of the crimes. Look at London. 40% of sex crimes are by foreigners, most of which are Muslim. You look at Rome, 83% of 2024 street robberies were by non-EU citizens, were from Muslim countries. Sex assaults, 69%. So again, you're looking at 8 to 12% of the population committing almost 70% of the sex crimes. You look at Spain, you look at Sweden, 80% of rapists are foreign-born, overwhelmingly from the Middle East, specifically Afghanistan. You look at Denmark, non-Western immigrants make up 32% of rape convictions. So they don't think the way we think. And if you're coming here and you're a migrant from a third world, ladies and gentlemen, if you import the third world, you're going to get third world reality. That's a fact. And if you don't have to believe me, look at London, look at Paris, look at Rome. Sweden used to be one of a bastion of safety and tourism. Now it's behind the UK. It's the second rape capital of Europe. Why? Because of migrants they've imported, most of which are from the Middle East, specifically Afghanistan, and they're Muslim.
No-go zones are a real thing.
They're real.
Yeah.
Not even for the police. The police will not go into sections of France and London because they're not permitted. Now think about that for a minute. You are a sovereign nation, and you have a community saying you can't come here. Europe is lost if they don't change their ways.
And I don't think that they will. Because people in Europe, people who are native to Europe, they're screaming about the knife attacks. They're screaming about the children that have been killed. And they're screaming about, their culture is literally dissolving, and the leaders won't do anything about it. Are they afraid?
I have no idea, but I literally, and I don't have all the details because it's kind of a new story, but, as a young, I think she was 13, 14 years old, and she was sexually abused. She was gang raped by 24 men, and they were all Muslim, and they just were passing around. And like this is what's being imported, and if we don't wake up, and if we don't truly vet, so I have a series of immigration bills. The first one specifically was addressing these nations that do not have proper vetting. A lot of them would be the ones you would assume: Iraq, Iran, Venezuela, et cetera. The second one is the Assimilation Act, which ends chain migration. No more H-1B visas. If you have an affiliation to a gang, so there's a character component to it, you cannot come in here. And think about the Biden administration, or the Obama administration for that matter, where we literally were letting Trinidad and MS-13 into the country. Under my bill, that would no longer be allowed. And I have a third bill that we'll be rolling out that puts more teeth in the process of denaturalization, so we can take some of these people that have claimed asylum, become citizens, that hate this country, that are committing crimes, and we can kick them out.
A lot of people would say you're being racist. A lot of people would say, oh, this is based in hate. What would your defense to be to that?
I took an oath to this country and to this Constitution and to the American people, not to Europe, not to Islam, not to socialists or globalists. This is our country. We get to decide who comes in. We get to decide who leaves. And if that offends you, That's your problem, not mine. Go read the Constitution.
You know, the amazing thing is, and you and I are simpatico on this, of course.
Right.
But the amazing thing is that with everything that happened during Biden's 4 years, and we're still dealing with the ramifications of that, innocent people here in America are getting killed because of illegal aliens, wherever they may be from. And they seem to me, these people on the left seem to be more triggered by what you're doing than being triggered by the innocent people that have been killed.
Well, think about it for a minute. So we had 4 terrorist attacks, right, in the period of about 2 weeks. So you had the shooting in Virginia, you had the shooting in Texas, you had the car ramming in Michigan where they ran a car into a synagogue, and you had the attempted bomb throwing in New York. And all this is happening while I'm being attacked, saying that I'm racist and Muslim people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you know what I did? I said, fine. Let's have a conversation. So I wrote an open letter. So we have roughly between 2,900 and 3,000 mosques in the United States of America. And I wrote an open letter to every imam in the country and said, if you're willing to stand with me, condemn the violence, and can disavow the attackers, I will meet with you. I will personally meet with you, and we can have a conversation, and we can have a dialogue. Of those 3,000, you know how many people, how many of those imams have accepted or done any of that? Not a single freaking one. Why? Because they quietly and silently support the violence and undoing our Constitution and undermining our republic. And I'm not going to stand by and let that happen. And so their silence is louder than anything I might say.
One of the things you want to do, and you and I talked about it a couple of months ago, I think it was, but you want to, Donald Trump wanted to restrict migration from some of these various nations that were not Muslim majority, because there's a lot of Muslim majority countries out there, but they're not riddled with anti-American sentiment or terrorism. And so you have done essentially the same thing, but you want to include other nations, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. You want to expand that list. Talk
Absolutely.
About that expansion.
Well, we should, again, we are, take Afghanistan, for example. Roughly, here, let me look at my data. 45% of the Afghanis that have come into the United States are on food stamps, and 68% of Afghanis that are in the United States are on Medicaid. So we're importing people into this country, and then they immediately get food stamps and free health care. That's a problem. We can't afford that. So as soft-hearted as you might be, or I might be, or whomever might be, we can't afford that anymore. And so, again, if you go back to my Assimilation Act, if you come into this country, and oh, by the way, if you and I want to go to the UAE, this would apply to us, is that you have to have a job. You have to have a way to support yourself. You can never become a citizen. You can never vote, and you have to pay their taxes. And if you break their laws, they're going to kick you out of the country. This is a common sense approach to immigration. And quite frankly, up until 1965, that was our approach to immigration. And of course, in the mid-60s, it went haywire, which set up the stage or the process for all this chain migration and this invasion of our country.
All right, real quick, save it, by the way, Congressman Andy Ogles joining us on Super Talk. The Save America Act, another one of those that just people are saying, why is this so complicated?
So this is, the Senate. So we've actually passed 2 versions of the Save America Act. So the House has passed it twice. It's over in the Senate soon. So keep in mind, 83% of Americans. So this is Democrats, Republicans, Independent, black, white, brown. It does not matter. Everybody agrees that you should have an ID to vote. I mean, this is across the board, 83%. It's a little higher for Republicans. It's a little lower for Democrats, but the vast majority, which is why it's 83%. And the Senate still hasn't passed this. Now, they have a talking filibuster. They could commandeer the House floor, or the Senate floor, rather. And so what I'm going to propose to our senators that once we get back tomorrow is that you have a House member. I'm willing to go to the Senate floor and partner with Mike Lee and kind of be his moral support as he's taken 8, 10, 12-hour shift to do the talking filibuster, to stand there with him and say, look, we're in this together because we have to secure our elections. You have to have an ID to vote in Somalia. You should have to have an ID here.
That statement right there, that you need an ID in Somalia but not here, is just so incredibly stunning.
It's stupid. I mean, you have to have an ID to open a bank account, to the gas company. I mean, you just go down to play Little League. You're going to have to prove that your kid is your kid, right? Like you have to have an ID to play Little League baseball, but to vote in this country?
Yeah.
Come on. Let's get back to common sense.
How worried are you about the midterm elections?
If we do our job, the rest of it takes care of itself. Obviously, I think most elections hinge on the economy. I think there's a lot of questions around the economy right now because of the conflict in Iran and the price of oil. But as you get into the kind of the summer season, which is just around the corner, I think the president will release the strategic oil reserve. That'll stabilize markets. You'll see gas prices coming back down. And quite frankly, the president wants to end the conflict, the war in Iran, quickly. I do not anticipate boots on the ground. I do not support boots on the ground, which is why we have air and sea superiority, and quite frankly, let the Persian people take Iran back.
821, 822, Super Talk 99.7. Is there anything we've missed? I feel like it's been a pretty good, wide-ranging conversation. Anything we've missed in our time here?
No, I just would say I would encourage your listeners to pray for the president, pray for the leaders. We have a tough job ahead of us, and, as long as we keep our eyes and sight on God, I think we'll be fine.
All right. Thank you very much for stopping in. We'll talk to you again soon. Joan's got the news at 8:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up, it's the Pope versus the president in a war of words. And what's going on with so many car crashes here in Middle Tennessee? Those stories coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$822 Window Nation. Spring is here. It is a great time to open your windows. Now, do your windows. If they don't easily open, then you can get new energy-efficient windows at a great price from my friends at Window Nation. I mean, that was my windows. Not only did they not really easily open, but they had leaks. They were broken. And so I went to Window Nation. I said, I need new windows. And I got 4 windows from Window Nation. And I got to tell you, these are great windows. Right now, they are in the middle of a great sale. It's the more you buy, the more you save sale. It is going on right now at Window Nation. You could save up to 50% off all the windows for your home. 50%. That's right. The more you buy, the more you save sale going on right now at Window Nation. You can also get them with 0% interest financing for 5 years. This is my window company, Window Nation. I've got new windows in my bedroom. I've got new windows in my kitchen and 2 in my all-important basement studio. Now, they've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, 96% customer satisfaction rating, and over 45,000 5-star reviews. Window Nation, the more you buy, the more you save sale going on right now. Save up to 50% off all the windows in your home. 0% interest financing for 5 years is waiting for you. Find them online, windownation.com. That is windownation.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, windownation.com. 828. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Dan. There you go, Joan.
There you go.
You've been asking for it for days.
Oh, yeah, I've been asking for it for days.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
I do requests. Except for the one that I get. Do you know what the most requested request I get is, Joan?
What's that?
To shut up. So we are now 30 minutes and 45 seconds away from the blockade of the blockade.
Yeah.
You looking forward to it?
Oh, yeah, this is the highlight of my day.
Is it?
No.
No. Mine neither. It's like I expect something like really riveting and spectacular to happen like right at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Nope. I think it's going to be a couple of days and we'll have to see ultimately what happens. I just want to know if Iran has the collective testicular fortitude to try to break our blockade. Like that's what I want to know. Are they going to try to break our blockade? And if they do, then do we sink their ships? Now, these little speedboats that everybody's worried about, they've got like 5,000 of these speedboats that they're worried about attacking our big old battleships. Do you know what I wonder? And I should have asked Richard Newton this earlier, but you know we're so used to blowing like big stuff up. How hard is it to take out those little itty bitty boats, the little speedboats? But I'd be willing to bet that it's actually pretty easy. Like all they got to do is come out into the open.
Yeah.
And they gotta speed their way towards our boats to be able to take us out.
Are you saying size doesn't matter?
I've always said that, Sam, but we'll moving right along. It is 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. In the first American Pope, Pope Leo, is apparently no fan of America's war with Iran. He's been speaking out about it with quotes from the Bible, including "Blessed are the peacemakers," a verse from the book of Matthew. His comments hit President Trump the wrong way.
We don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo.
Now, despite his comments, the Pope insists that he is not a political figure. There have been 6 deadly crashes across Middle Tennessee in the last 8 days. News 2's Jaxie Pigeon tells us, though, that statistic doesn't match the statewide trend.
The most recent was Sunday night along Highway 70 near the Davidson-Cheatham County line. Police say a driver veered off the road, overcorrected, and triggered a 3-vehicle crash. A 59-year-old man was killed, and charges are expected. Then on Thursday, April 9th, a 20-year-old motorcyclist was killed on I-24 in Cheatham County. Investigators say he hit the back of a tractor trailer and the bike caught fire. And on Sunday, April 5th, a 17-year-old was killed in a single-car crash on Dickerson Pike. Police say he lost control and hit a pole before the car overturned.
Now, there's new state numbers that show fatalities from car crashes are down year over year. So far this year, 229 fatal crashes in Tennessee this year, more than 270 at this point in the last 2 years. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. And stocks are trading, and we're starting off with the Dow Jones Industrials down 277 points. The NASDAQ falling 61. The S&P 500 index is minus 16 points. And just crossing the wires, I want to make sure I mention this. A federal judge has just dismissed President Trump's lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch in the Wall Street Journal that had alleged the newspaper defamed President Trump in a story saying that the president had sent a birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein. That is the latest news. Your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 8:32, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here for my friends at the Covered Patio. Listen, it is getting warmer. Spring is here. Summer is next. And if you want to add more living space to your home, think about building or upgrading your patio. Now, at the Covered Patio, they've got motorized screens so that you can easily keep the patio open when you want some sun and close it when you want some shade. So your back screened-in porch becomes so much more enjoyable. Now, they've got a ton of outdoor living options at the Covered Patio. They've got, listen to all this, right? They've got customized decks, retractable awnings, pergolas, outdoor grilling areas, and a whole lot more at the Covered Patio. They do it all. Building or upgrading a patio can indeed extend the living space of your home. The covered patio is dedicated to fair prices and customized solutions for your specific home and your specific space. Enjoy your home a lot more with an incredible patio upgrade from the Covered Patio. Reach out to them. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out at 615-695-2407, 615-695-2407, online, thecoveredpatio.com, thecoveredpatio.com. I guess I'm supposed to do something here. Is this DT McCall's? All right, very good. RJ is in for Sam. I'm gonna throw you right under the bus, RJ. No, that's my bad. Chris is showing me a picture that he is upset about, and I understand why you're upset about that. So we'll talk about that as well. Lots to talk about with Chris Hand here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN in the Crisscross Handoff. And Joan, good news. Chris made it through the weekend without the wife.
Yes, I see.
So
I've
just
survived.
Just, Chris, your mere presence is enough to, glad you're back.
It's a victory.
It is a victory. Got to tell you about my friends at DT McCall's. Listen, this is a great Tennessee company, and they do it all for you at DT McCall's. If you need an appliance, if you need furniture, they've got it all. Again, at DT McCall's, you need something for your yard. Find them online at dtmccalls.com. Now, they've got great deals going on right now with their Cub Cadet lawnmower sale. It is going on right now. You want to check them out online all the time, dtmccalls.com. Now, they do these lawnmower sales with Cub Cadet every single year. And this year, again, is no different. Whether you need a ride-on mower for those larger areas or the push mowers as well, you can get them great deals on a variety of Cub Cadet mowers, 0% interest in financing for 24 months. That is huge. Again, 0% interest financing for 24 months is available for some of these models as well. DT McCall's, I've got both furniture and appliances from DT McCall's. It's a great store full of great Tennesseans, and they do put Tennessee and America first. Find them online, as always, dtmccalls.com. That is dtmccalls.com.
There's a crash on westbound 24. It's in Antioch before Harding Place, and it's off to the right shoulder. Got an accident as well on Porter Road in Eastwood. That's at Benjamin Street. Now, if you're traveling, keep in mind that in Baxter on 40, the eastbound side of the Baxter-Gainsboro exit number 280, a vehicle on fire, and that roadway is very slow. Also, westbound on 40, this is in Crossville. There's a crash that blocks the left lane just before the Crossville exit number 322. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.838, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Oh, look, another potential spam call. Have you guys been overrun?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness gracious. It is like never ending. I posted on my Facebook page the other day. It was a screenshot of my call log. And on this particular day, I'd had like 6 or 7 different potential spam calls. But I mean, basically almost every day I'm getting at least 10 to 12.
What?
Yes.
That's a lot.
Thank you, Chris. I know it's a lot. How many are you getting, Joan?
Say it again.
How many potential spam calls are you getting, Joan?
Oh, I get a lot. But,
Okay.
you know, it says scam likely. And I never answer them. I'm sure you don't either. But between my husband and I, it must be like 20 a day.
20 a day. Yeah. I mean, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Every day I'm getting more and more and more of these things. I don't know how to stop it. I guess there is a way to stop it. I just haven't figured it out yet. But
I'm also getting a lot of scam texts. And once on your phone, once you hit like delete and report spam, some of these people, once you hit that, use another number to text you back and say, "What's the matter? Have you been getting too many?"
Yeah.
Like baiting. It's so infuriating.
Okay. You don't get spam calls, Chris? You have nothing to add to this part of the segment?
Not as many as you.
Okay.
I mean, occasionally.
Well, I think that's because I'm more popular than
It's
you are,
true.
Chris. That's exactly what it is. I'm totally kidding.
People know that.
Your phone number's on somebody's list.
Have you added yourself to the do not call list?
That helps, but it's not the cure.
No, because people have told me they don't even bother. Like, people have said that. Probably not helping. Did I tell you what I did?
Are those the people that are calling you?
I don't know. Because I don't answer it. But did I tell you what I did? This was about 6 months ago. I'm on Red Eye Radio. I accidentally gave out my cell phone.
No, you didn't.
I did. I gave out my cell phone.
Damn.
I know. I was tired. It's the second time, maybe the third time that I've done that over the years. So it's a wonder. Amy says, "Well, gee, I don't know, Dan. I don't know why you're on all of these spam lists." And so, yeah. Listen, when you get tired, these things kind of happen.
You know, I got a new listener, this guy Tony from Canada, who's super based, and it's because he found you on Red Eye Radio.
Oh, no kidding.
Nice.
He gave you all the credit.
Nice. Did he do that on the air?
Yeah, and then
Good.
he said, "But once I found your show, Chris, I knew I could sleep in a little bit."
Well, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I made that part up. I made that part up.
No, Tony would like you because, of course, he has that kinship with you because you're both Canadian.
Literally, the texters that day said, "What is this? Chris just having family members call in now?"
Oh, there you go. I remember Tony now. He rocks it. Tony, if you're listening,
he's a beast. We love Tony.
He is, man. He's awesome. All right, real quick. So, RJ, I got a picture up that I want to share with the viewing audience. Joan, I'm really, really interested in your take on the picture that right now is on the screen. For people that are listening on the radio, I guess, is that Donald Trump like pretending to be Jesus and he's like healing some dude?
Yeah.
So he posted this last night yesterday on Truth Social.
He's dressed in robes.
He looks like he's dressed in Jesus. Jesus apparel.
Garb.
Yeah.
And he's got his right hand, and his hand is on the forehead of a person who is clearly, in the last throes of life, and he's glowing, and the American flag is behind him, and then he's got like angels and what looks like demons in the background.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like a demon floating up above him in the clouds.
So it's funny because I just saw this, and during the break, somebody actually said, "What in the world is Donald Trump posting?"
Well, and then, I mean, people have been calling him the Antichrist. Like, Tucker Carlson alluded to him being the Antichrist the other day, and I was like, that's a bit too far. And then he posts this. I'm like, what are you doing?
Why would you? I don't understand why that. Doesn't he not have other better things to do?
Honestly.
I mean, come on. Joan, what do you think?
I think that he is trolling everybody again. And everybody's talking about it, and everybody's talking about Donald Trump. I mean, honestly, this is like him using bad language to describe somebody. Just ignore it. Move on.
It's hard to ignore it, though. Like, if you are a Christian, which I am, and he does this, it's almost like, Joan, I totally get what you're saying. I totally get it, and I respect it. But on the other side, it's like, Why would you do this?
To troll Tucker Carlson. I mean,
but he's
it's a single troll.
But a lot of people are upset about it. Usually the comments on the Truth Social posts are an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Like, full disclosure. Like, everybody's like, yeah, you go get him, Mr. President. This time it's completely different.
What do you call it, ratioed?
Yeah. First comment says, Mr. President, with all due respect, take this down. You are not Jesus. Even if this wasn't the intention, this is not a good look.
Renee says that's actually blasphemy. Beth says blasphemy.
Yep.
You know, yeah.
The more I look at the figures in the back, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Dan, does it look like it's supposed to be the village people in the sky?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. Was one of the village people
YMCA,
a demon?
Yeah.
The guy up front's like hitting the YMCA pose. That's all I can see.
Well, he's got 4 arms.
I don't think that's wings.
Those
I
are
think
wings.
Yeah.
Those are
I think
wings,
that's wings.
actually.
They look like hands on the top.
Mm.
Looks like
Does he have 4? I don't know.
Looks like 4 arms.
I want to know where he got this
Oh,
from.
wait, he's healing somebody? Is that?
Yeah, he's healing somebody.
Easy answer, AI.
Everybody
Yeah, I
said
guess
the
so.
person he's healing is Jeffrey Epstein. That's what the internet's been saying.
Oh
Is that what the internet says? That's Jeffrey Epstein that he's healing?
Yep.
It's a little late.
I
don't see the marks on his neck. So
the ligature marks.
Neither did the coroner.
Yeah.
Moving right along. I don't know, Joe. Well, whatever.
I don't know. You know what?
I just think he just keeps stepping in it. Like,
Oh,
dude,
hold on. 4167 says that's
backing.
supposed to be Uncle Sam he is healing.
Really?
That doesn't
Because
look
it
like
doesn't
Uncle
look
Sam.
like Uncle Sam.
No.
No, this is a mess. And then at the same time, he's starting beef with the Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got a beef with the Pope too.
Yeah.
I don't like what the.
But you got to just not look down and keep moving forward. There's 55 million Catholics in this country. Why? Why on earth would you need to start a fight with the Pope?
9223. Trump is trolling the Pope, which is
trolling the Pope. He's trolling Tucker. He's trolling them all.
I mean, I hope the troll is worth eternal damnation. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
People are saying this is not how you win the midterms. That I totally get that.
I think midterms are done. It's a wash. Like, let's be perfectly honest. I was trying to remain as optimistic as I could be, and I was waiting for this 4 to 6 week timeline. But we're up. It's up, and now we're doing a blockade. We're screwed.
We're blocking the blockade, which, by the way, is going to send oil prices even higher.
The midterms are screwed. They're screwed. We're going to have a lame duck president. We're going to be dealing with impeachments. And then in the meantime, the Senate can't do anything. No. Imagine if they had nuked the filibuster 3 months ago when these talks originally came up, how much further down the field we would be.
Chris, you're so young and naive. They're not going to be going after impeachments. They're going to be going after arrests.
Yeah, fair.
You know what I mean? I'm just kidding about the young and naive. You're just young.
You know what makes me really uncomfortable in this picture?
What's that?
Is the woman to the left of President Trump, or actually to his right, praying, and she's looking up at him with folded prayer hands. Okay, I'm much more uncomfortable. I kind of glanced at it early this morning and just blew by it.
Sure. Yeah.
And now I'm thinking I really don't like this.
No, I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that is going on right now with, the economy. Okay, so to what you're saying, Chris, and I did mention this earlier, is that even if this thing wrapped up today, which is not going to, even if it wrapped up today, it's going to take a long time for that infrastructure to be fixed in the Middle East, right? Because a lot of that infrastructure has gone boom. So we have that, and that's
the technical term, gone boom.
Gone boom. And then, by the way, I've been well danned. Joan, don't let me forget to talk about why I've been well danned by the super texters.
Okay.
But a lot of that infrastructure has been destroyed, not only by us with Iran, but also Iran with some of these Gulf states, the oil infrastructure. So it's going to take a couple of years for all of that to be fixed, which means that oil prices to get back to where they were pre-Iran war, we're not talking about midterms. We may not even be talking about the presidential election. And people are saying, man, just don't be a panicking. I'm not being a panicking.
We're being realistic.
We're being realistic. So, I don't know.
Robert said, as usual, Chris, calm down. Like, I've been pretty calm. I've been pretty optimistic. But
4682, this picture has discouraged me more than anything he's done. I'm looking at what people are saying. I thought you guys, let's see. Sure, what does Charlie say? Looks like Charlie's going to yell at us.
Charlie said, I thought you guys are Christians. The Pope claims to have taken Jesus' place on earth. That would be Catholics. That's different. That's
Thank
a little
you.
different.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Catholics. I know a lot of Catholics. I was raised Catholic, so I'm not anti-Catholic. But there's differences.
Yeah, and I went a little hard on the Pope today. I always get nervous going after the Pope because he just says some stuff that really makes me mad.
I like how you say, I always get nervous going after the Pope. Like it's something that happens quite often.
Yeah, it's been, Joan, have I ever, since I've worked with you for the past, year and a half, have I ever gone after the Pope?
Don't think so.
Yeah, no, it's like every couple of years, kind of like a midterm election. Every couple of years, I go after the Pope. But anyway, so I don't know what the upside is to this kind of a photo. And I still support the president, but you know what? Just like if you have a friend that does stupid stuff, you ever have a friend that does stupid stuff? That's President Trump to me sometimes. Why? Why do you do that? Why are you your own worst enemy? Is what
honestly,
I would say.
Honestly.
So
well, and you think about
Chris. This is 4D chess.
That's infuriating to hear that. But when you think about the biggest missteps that he's had this term, every single one of them have been self-inflicted.
I'm thinking you're probably right. I think there's a lot of things that he does that are self-inflicted. I mean, this is a great example.
Yes.
Like I would just say, I didn't see this, and you brought this in to me, and so I'm sort of reacting to this in real time.
It's insane. Like, why? Why would we need to do this?
I don't know. Again, not to belabor the point, with so many things going on, I don't know why this would be your priority for today, especially when you're blockading the blockade. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway.
It's a mess.
Let's see. Do we have anything fun and happy to talk about? Usually this is the fun and happy segment. And do we have nothing fun and happy? Oh, the well dance. This is the happiest I can go with the well dance.
Self-deprecating. That's the best I can do.
That's exactly right. I had said, Joan, you may have to help me out on this, but I had said something like, how good are we at taking out these little speedboats that Iran apparently has?
Right.
And people are like, why didn't you ask Venezuela, you numbnuts? We took out like 20 of them. Remember the Venezuelan speedboats?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So thank you, super texters. I appreciate that.
So on the other hand of that, what I've been reporting this morning is that Iran has like as many as 5,000 of them.
Right.
So
I hope
there may be something about that.
Listen, they need to send them like one at a time to make it really easy on us. You know what I mean? And I don't know how many. Can we take them out with a drone? We must be able to take out a speedboat with a drone.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, we talked about this. We were destroying these speedboats, these drug speedboats from Venezuela with missiles. And Joan, we talked about this. That seems like overkill. Like, why would you use a big old missile to take out, a little drug boat?
Yeah.
And whatever. I mean, I like bad guys blown to smithereens.
It's effective.
It is effective. That's exactly right.
Except for that one where the guys tried to get back on the boat, so they had to use 2 missiles.
7788. Chris, amazing restraint when Mandis asked, have you ever had a friend that does stupid things? You talk about me, of course, right?
I would assume.
Hey, speaking of which, have you seen Matt Murphy mess around? Did you see what he did? On the socials, I posted it to Dan Mandis Show. So I guess this might be a new Murphy Show bit where he had a hidden camera. He walks up to Jackson is in the little room over there. And they had to do like an intervention with Jackson's wallet. Because Jackson's wallet is like packed with crap.
It's like a Costanza wallet?
It's like a Costanza wallet. And so they start going through poor Jackson's wallet. I don't know if this was set up or not. They start going through poor Jackson's wallet. He had like a couple of old AAA cards, both expired. Receipts from 1999 and all kinds of expired credit cards.
Receipts from 1999?
Yeah, he had.
He was born in 94.
Well, it probably got it from his mom for his McDonald's Happy Meal. I don't know, but I'm saying that he had all kinds of stuff in his wallet, and it's like I would just caution dear Jackson, who we all love, even though he called me a moron. We all love Jackson, and if you have a wallet that thick and you're sitting on it, it can throw your entire back out of alignment. So it's very funny. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's on Murphy Show's page or my page at Facebook, Super Talk, blah, blah.
I mean, that's dangerous for Jackson because his back already hurts from carrying the afternoon show. So, you know what I mean? Like, to do anything else.
Yeah,
I'm worried.
sure.
I'm worried about him.
Mm-hmm. I get that. Wow, you went there.
What?
Yes.
What?
That's actually pretty good.
I'm saying what we're all thinking, you know?
Okay, very good. Anyway, what are we doing? You're pointing to me. We got to go? All right, RJ's telling us we got to go.
RJ's nervous.
Yes.
He gets a little panicked when
RJ,
you go a little bit over.
RJ, don't be a panicking.
Don't be a panicking.
We got this.
I'm not panicking, just watching the clock.
He learned the windmill of doom from Mason.
Listen, RJ, at least someone is watching the clock, which is more than I can say for the three of us.
I could have been nicer to you when it came to the Pope because you said you were going hard on him.
That's well. Moving right along. Joan, what is coming up in the news at 9?
Yeah, the blockade begins at 9 o'clock. We're going to take a look at what's happening coming up here at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, very good. $8.55 Generator Supercenter. Now, I love this place. It's a place that can provide you with safety and comfort and confidence, knowing that if you get hit with a power outage, your backup home standby generator is going to turn your power right back on. The Generator Supercenter. Now, they are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Now, we've all learned how important since January, we've all learned how important these backup home standby generators are. So if you want to check out these great generators from the Generator Supercenter, go online, generatorsupercenterofnashville.com, and call them at 615-879-1952. Bottom line is, if the power goes out in your neighborhood, then your backup home standby generator from the Generator Supercenter is going to turn your power right back on. This is not only a huge investment in your home, but also in your family's safety. They do also feature, by the way, expert installation, 24-hour monitoring as well. They're not going to leave you in the dark, and financing is available. Call them 615-879-1952, 615-879-1952. Find them online anytime. Tell them Dan Childer to reach out. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. Spring is here, and it is the perfect time to freshen up the air in your home. Hey, it's Dan Mandis for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You know, they've put together their Spring Breathe Easy package to help you clear out all of that dust, all of those allergens, and pet dander that has been building up. Now, we're not just doing a quick check. We're giving your system a full refresh. Now, that includes an AC tune-up to get you ready for the summer heat, plus an indoor air quality check so you know exactly what your family is breathing. We'll also inspect your ductwork and perform a professional air duct cleaning to remove all of that hidden buildup deep inside. And to take it a step further, they're going to install a whole home germicidal system to help reduce airborne contaminants. That's right. Oh, and by the way, with their premium service, they're going to finish things off with a bonus deodorizer treatment so your system smells as clean as it feels. Now, right now, you can get the whole package for $11.99 on a 1.5 to 3 ton system. That is normally $1,800, or $15.99 on 3.5 to 5 ton systems. That is normally a little over $2,000. So if you've been thinking about improving your air quality, this is a great time to reach out to my friends at Busy Bee, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybehvac.com.